there's nobody unaccounted for, and mostly minor injuries.
Thank you so much, Councillor, for joining us today. We're going to be obviously following this story really closely. We're on air here till 1 o'clock, Catherine. If there's anything to share with residents, just call my producer. We'll put you on right away, okay?
I will, for sure. And for any families that have been affected, there are supports out there. It could be a really traumatic event if you were, in close proximity and witnessed it. So certainly don't hesitate to reach out.
Oh, very wise. Thank you so much. Councillor, you certainly have had your challenges since you've been in office in terms of crisis. You always handle it beautifully.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam.
Councillor Catherine Kitts joining us for Orleans South Navan. We appreciate her joining us very quickly today. You can hear in the background she's on site there, and that's what you want from a city councillor. She's jumping out of bed, taking care of things. We wanted to spend some time today with Kimberly Murray. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
Good. Kimberly, tell me what organization you're representing today.
I am the independent special interlocutor for missing children in unmarked burials in Canada.
And, obviously this has been incredible and sad across this country. Give us a sense of the report that we've just released.
Are you speaking about, so last week we heard that Canada had contracted with the International Commission of Missing Persons to come to Canada and consult with Indigenous people on whether they should provide their services to do exhumation and DNA testing.
And I guess, the transparency has not been in the forefront of any of this over, centuries. There doesn't seem to be transparency in this as well, Kimberly. Is that how you're seeing it?
That's correct. I have expressed my concerns with the process that Canada has initiated because they didn't actually consult with any of the Indigenous leadership or survivors. And Canada actually has created 2 Indigenous-led processes to give them advice around the unmarked burials and missing children, me being one of them. And secondly, the National Advisory Council, which is established with the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation. They weren't even consulted, and those are experts here in Canada, forensic pathologists and archaeologists, and they're Indigenous people. But Canada felt it was, took it upon themselves to go enter into this contract for $2.2 million and bring an outside agency into Canada to talk to leadership and survivors.
But the irony here, Kimberly, I'm sure it's not lost on you, is that, Canada interfered with the Indigenous community centuries ago, and now they seem to be doing the same thing in recovering these children.
Absolutely. That's, the other thing is it's almost like they don't trust the Indigenous-led processes that are in place and that they have to go to a non-Indigenous organization. And I personally met with the International Commission on Missing Persons and met with them over Zoom, and they bluntly told me that they have no experience or understanding or cultural competency in working with Indigenous people. I mean, they weren't even aware of the Constitution, Section 35 of our Constitution, which recognizes Indigenous sovereignty. So, they expressed to me a concern that they had a big learning curve before they came here. And so one of the things I'm very concerned about is the agreement is not public. It hasn't been posted on anyone's website. And I think that it's, I have concerns over the timeline. I have concerns over the scope of the agreement. And I have concerns that Canada is controlling it because a report is to be prepared to Canada, but not to Indigenous leadership. And Canada has an opportunity to edit the report. They actually get an opportunity to get the draft report and make comments on it before they get the final report. So it doesn't, it smells a little bit. It just seems like Canada is wanting to control the process as opposed to letting it be Indigenous-led with the other processes that are in place.
But this goes even against, I'm saying this, you correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is this would go against the Truth and Reconciliation report as well in terms of involving the Indigenous community too.
Yeah, absolutely, Sema. The calls to action 71 through 76 are about the missing children and unmarked burials and how the processes to recover the missing children should be Indigenous-led, and that leadership and survivors should be at the center of that work.
Mm-hmm. What can we do, Kimberly? Is it too late? Is there if somebody is really passionate about this, are we reaching out? Is it or is it too late?
Well, it's not too late because, the agreement is signed, but it does have a provision that it can be edited and amendments can be made. So I personally, and the National Advisory Council, I believe, will also be doing this, are going to be making requests for changes to the agreement. The number one thing I want change is that I want the agreement public, and I want any reporting that comes out of the ICMP to also go to leadership and survivors. So, for listeners, talk to your MPs and put pressure on them to actually see this agreement and make it public, because it shouldn't be done behind closed doors.
Kimberly, thank you so much. Let's stay in touch, okay?
Okay, thank you, Sam.
Kimberly Murray joining us today, Independent Special Interlocutor for missing children and unmarked graves and burial sites associated with Indian residential schools. We appreciate her time today. We are following, obviously, very closely what's happened in Orleans. We just spoke with Councillor Catherine Kitts. She's going to be updating us if there's anything. Well, we're on till about 1 o'clock today, and then our news team, of course, will bring you anything breaking from that story. Did you watch the Super Bowl? Well, I know I did. We're going to be talking about some of those ads, those top Super Bowl ads, when we come back with the head of brand strategy for YouTube Canada. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
At St. John Ambulance, we're all about community. We teach life-saving skills and provide community support through our volunteer services. All St. John Ambulance product sales and training registrations support these important services. Volunteer, donate, or enroll in a program today so we can continue to have an impact on our community. Visit sja.ca to learn more. At St. John Ambulance, we do more than save lives, we change lives.
Long way from Nashville, and mama, I tell you that. Performed from Montreal to Boston to Los Angeles. But Toronto, that's my chosen home. Sure, when I'm walking down Yonge Street, I see some funny people who have the nerve to point the finger at me. Grin and smile and whisper. My song was #2 on local radio. Sold 10,000 in Toronto alone. Turned down Ed Sullivan because they asked me to remove my makeup. Wouldn't do American Bandstand because of their segregation policies. I was just being me. Never tried to explain myself to anyone. And besides, none of that to worry, Jackie, because I know I look good. Got a new way of loving, baby. Thought I want to teach it to you.
Jackie Shane was a pioneer transgender soul singer, a central figure in the Toronto R&B scene. She helped shape what we know as the Toronto sound.
Everyone loves a snow day, but less fortunate kids in Ottawa are missing out because they don't have a warm winter snowsuit. Help kids in need and have fun at the same time by joining the Snowsuit Fund's Snow Angel Challenge. Simply fall back in the snow, make a snow angel, and upload your photo or video to social media. The Snow Angel Challenge, a very cool way to help keep kids warm. Visit snowsuitfund.com to learn more and donate.
The way I kill my skill sharpen, cause I've been here sharpening.
What's going on, y'all? It's Jay Morris, aka your favorite light skin, and you're gonna check out my performance on Encore Ottawa 3 coming up this week. Let's go.
All again, murderation, 911, call it in. Me, I murder every.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
I'm going to somewhere, anywhere. A beach house, a tree house. Honestly, I don't care. Hello, humidity. A fancy hotel with a sexy garden.
Landscape architect.
A tiny home with aggressive flair. Somewhere, anywhere. As long as they have childcare.
Booking.com. Booking.
Yeah.
Well, she's one of my favorites, of course. That's Melissa McCarthy, storing in the Booking.com ad for Super Bowl. Karen Zukula joins us today. Hello, Karen.
Hi there, Sam. How are you?
Karen, I'm so excited that you're here. Head of brand strategy for YouTube Canada. That was just one of the favorites from last night. Was it one of your favorites?
It sure was, and a lot of Canadians thought it too. I had a quick look this morning just out of curiosity, and that spot with Melissa had already had 96 million views. So she's taken it to a whole new level, I would have to say, which is great. And how timely during a moment when we're cold, we want to escape, we want to go somewhere, anywhere. So I think it just really was a perfect timed event and release on YouTube. And I would have to say it's definitely one of my faves.
Absolutely. And she's just, I think people love her because she's just so relatable, right? She feels like a girlfriend you know.
She is. And did you know that her husband did a little cameo in there as well, Ben Falcone?
Well, he always does. Like, I loved him in Bridesmaids, and he kind of shows up in everything, but I didn't know he had made an appearance there.
Yeah, he did too. So it's kind of fun. I think that musical, fun, light, spirited tone is something that we're all craving right now. So Absolutely. Good for Booking.com. I think they did a fantastic job.
They certainly did. They got the best one there. She's fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about, of course, our friend Cher.
I used to be pretty clueless about shopping, among other things. Like when I heard I could save by getting cash back with Rakuten, I was like, as if. But then I was like, why didn't I do this sooner? Ooh, you can get cash back on all the fashion, even your most capable outfits, at your fave beauty stores. Ooh, eye cream. Not that I need it.
What do you think about this one, Karen?
Well, this one is also fantastic. Who doesn't want to go back to 1995 and do a little bit of a teaser? I think that was one of the interesting things that we saw on YouTube in particular was these teasers that were released by so many different brands really helped get fans excited. So not only was it the big moment of the game itself, but it was like the pre, the during, and the post that really became like this epicenter, and YouTube became this go-to place for a big game culture that a lot of Canadians just wanted to deep dive into, a treasure trove of backstories and highlights and Rihanna lyrics and recipes.
Absolutely. And that's what I think the Super Bowl's really become that, right? It's become, for obviously football fans, number one, but then the musical stuff and all of these ads, the marketing side of me, I love that part, of course. We heard as well from T-Mobile.
Home internet, what a pain in the... Hey, neighbor! Try T-Mobile, it sets up so fast. It's like Wi-Fi that runs on 5G. Home internet from T-Mobile? Wait till you see. Tell me more, tell me more. One cord's all that you need. Tell me more, tell me more. Don't you worry about speed. I can't believe it. It's just $50. Why pay more? Paying more sucks.
Okay, we love this one, Karen.
Who doesn't love John Travolta, Zach Braff, and Donald Faison? And Summer Nights. right. I know I did a quick look this morning because I was curious. One of the great things that I'm seeing on YouTube also as a trend is like all the new jams you can really put on in the car. And this being one of them with Summer Nights. Did you know that Summer Nights has 54 million views on YouTube?
Wow.
And I think when you look across all of the great ads that we're seeing from the Super Bowl, there is a TurboTax came out with Safety Dance, Man Without Hats. That was from 1982, I think it was, 53 million. And never mind, What's My Name with Snoop, and Martha Stewart, 49 million. It's just incredible when you start thinking about the treasure trove. And I did it myself over the past few days of going deep into Jeep, for example. Do you remember Marcia Griffiths? She came out with Electric Slide back in the 1980s.
Right.
And then Shaggy for Jeep created with her Electric Boogie. So I started going down this treasure trove on YouTube, digging into like the backstory, and never mind my 2-year-old son. He loved watching the elephants and the giraffes.
Right.
Never mind the Electric Slide and the Electric Boogie as they came up with for Jeep.
That's so fun. It's so fun. You have the best job, by the way.
Right? I think so too. YouTube, first of all, I get to watch it all day long and every day. And then add the creative piece and sport. Wow. That's definitely a highlight for me.
Pepsi always does something cool. And let's listen now.
And cut.
I'm Steve Martin. As an actor, it's my job to make people believe that what they're seeing is real. Hey. That the frustration is real. Man, I'm hungry. Oh, the disappointment is real. 1, 2, 3, 4. Winner! Eat it, Kyle. You're all losers. That the joy is real, but it's not real. It's acting. Wow! It's fantastic! Or was I just acting?
Well, of course, he's a favorite as well, the one and only Steve Martin.
Yeah, Steve Martin is fantastic, and I guess we'll have to find out for ourselves if Pepsi with no sugar is that fantastic. Pepsi's always done a fantastic job over the course of Super Bowl, and I think what we're starting to see also as a trend is that the impact really happens long after the big event, like yesterday. Mm-hmm. I'm reminded of Old Spices. They did an ad, maybe you remember it, called "The Man You Could Smell Like." It was 13 years ago, and it just went so viral. And it's had already over 61 million views on YouTube. Yeah. So it's the pre, the during, and then the post legacy that we start to see with ads like Pepsi, with Steve Martin, that just live on for a lifetime.
And if there's one thing I know about marketing people is the people that create these ads are thinking about next year, like today. So they're already thinking. Karen, this has been a lot of fun. Stay in touch, okay?
Thanks so much for having me on.
Karen Zuccalla.
Have a great day.
You too. It's Karen Zuccalla joining us today, head of brand strategy for YouTube Canada. She does have a very cool job. Not as great as my job. I love my job. When we come back, we're going to talk to a doctor. We're going to talk to Dr. Carrie Ann Mullen from the University of Ottawa Heart Institute. Stay with us on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
This week on Simply Cooking by Chef, simple salads that will last all week in the fridge, give you a burst of flavor, and will please a big crowd.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, some people used the A word. They called it an accident, but it wasn't. An accident implies that no one was at fault. But when someone impaired by alcohol and/or drugs chooses to drive, they're fully responsible for the crash that can result. So please, for the memory of my brother DJ and the thousands of families whose lives have been shattered by impaired drivers, let's drop the A word.
A crash caused by impaired driving is not an accident.
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the community billboard.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Ladies, leave your man at home tonight.
Hi, this is Dominique Orley. I'm a part of Encore 3, and be sure to catch my set this week.
We are going downtown, leaving out all your stress and your sorrow.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 101.1 everywhere.
It's Monday, February the 13th. Good morning. I'm Chris Curries. Right now in Ottawa, it's -2. It's -1 in Smiths Falls. Here's what's making news this hour. The explosion from Orleans this morning, our top story this morning. A major blast woke up thousands in the East End, many wondering what they just felt. That's what it sounded like. It was a gas leak at a construction site near 10th Line and Harvest Valley Avenue, which is south of Brian Coburn Drive. That's according to Ottawa fire crews. Now, paramedics say that 11 people were injured this morning, 2 children included. It happened at 6:18. That was when first responders got the first call. They removed the first person that was trapped under the rubble. That was at 7:19, so after about an hour. And fire crews say they had to use chainsaws to remove the person from the debris. The second person was removed just after 9:30, so after about 3 hours in the rubble. They were both, thankfully, in serious but stable condition and transferred to hospital from there. There are sites set up on location for anybody who needs assistance, and there is a large police presence in the area, so you're asked to avoid the area for the time being and what is likely going to be quite a while today. Stay with City News for the latest on this developing story. I'm Chris Curries. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, in case you haven't noticed, of course, it is February today, February the 13th. An important day, of course, but the month of February, we think about Heart Month. We wanted to get caught up today with Dr. Carrie Ann Mullen, Director of Canadian Women's Heart Health Centre at the University of Ottawa Heart Institute. Hello, Dr. Mullen.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I could talk about this subject all day. You know why?
Why?
Because I think when people think about heart disease, they think about men, and I think we need to talk about women.
Well, that's exactly why Wear Red Canada Day was developed. So this is actually our 5th annual Wear Red Canada Day. It's organized by the Canadian Women's Heart Health Alliance, and it's actually celebrated across Canada to raise awareness of heart disease in women. So I'm wearing red today. I don't know if you are, but if you're not, get changed and get some red on.
I have a sweater in my office. I'll run and switch. Absolutely. I think it's a really important conversation. I'm 52 years old. I hear a lot of people in my network having heart challenges. Sadly, someone in my network passed away about 2 weeks ago from a sudden heart incident. But for what reason is it, do you think, Dr. Mullen, that we don't associate women and heart health?
I think up until now, like in the past, a lot of the research that's been done in heart health has actually been done on men. So over 70% of the research done. Men definitely can, in general, develop heart disease at an earlier age. Women actually, maybe one of the positives of our hormones is that estrogen is actually cardioprotective. And so up until menopause, generally speaking, we are somewhat protected against cardiovascular disease. But there are definitely some issues. Heart disease is on the rise, especially among young women. It's the leading cause of death for women worldwide, and the leading cause of hospitalization for women in our country. So certain conditions
put a woman at greater risk of developing premature heart or vascular disease, before the age, before menopause, let's say, and before, older age. And this can be things like pregnancy-related conditions, so infertility, premature birth, having had diabetes or a high blood pressure disorder that developed during pregnancy, so gestational diabetes, eclampsia, preeclampsia, these types of conditions can put a woman at much greater risk of developing premature cardiovascular disease later on. We talked about menopause, so women who experience premature or early menopause, so that's menopause, happening before the age of 45, this can be an early warning sign of premature cardiovascular disease. And there's other conditions that are kind of predominantly affect women that can put us at greater risk of heart disease.
And when we always think about heart disease as well, we think about keeping our weight in check. We think about, obviously stop smoking if you're smoking, all of those pieces as well, that exercise regime. If we were experiencing anything with our heart, sometimes as women, and men do it too, they may have a couple of symptoms, but they kind of keep going through the day and think, oh, that's nothing, I shouldn't get it checked out. What should we be watching for, doctor?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Women are we tend to put things aside and not take care of ourselves as much as we should sometimes. So one important message as well is that heart attack symptoms actually can go unrecognized over 50% of the time in women. And the reason for this is, number one, this is that women don't recognize these symptoms often, or they kind of push them aside saying, it couldn't be. There's no way I could be having a heart attack. Or heart attack symptoms in some cases present differently for women than they do in men. Not like the sort of type of heart attack that we see in movies or on TV. So it's important to be aware of the signs and how they might be different in women. Most women do report chest pain as their primary symptom, like a lot of men. But women are also more likely than men to describe pain in their jaw or their arm or their neck, or, I'm just feeling nauseous, or describing indigestion or stomach pain. And women are also more likely than men to describe 3 or more symptoms during a heart attack in addition to their chest pain. So this kind of makes it difficult for both the woman, but also the health provider to sort of decipher what's going on. And so that's one way that, heart attack symptoms specifically are different for women than they are in men.
Fascinating, for sure. And when you think about women that you would see coming in with, different incidents that have happened health-wise for them, what's the recovery like?
Yeah, so, it depends. I mean, if certainly in some cases, and there's research showing this, that because of this sort of delay in getting treatment, in some cases, unfortunately, women might be further along or progressed in terms of the damage to the heart that a heart attack may have caused, for example. And so sometimes recovery, can be a little bit challenging in that sense. But generally speaking, if a woman walks through the door, certainly at the Ottawa Heart Institute, they should be receiving the exact same care as a man who walks through the door. Interestingly, in recovery, though, women are less likely to engage in programs like cardiac rehabilitation. This is a gold standard recommendation for anyone who's had a heart event. But given the sort of other challenges in a woman's life, like, the caregiving responsibilities, time is just such an issue. Often we see that women are not joining cardiac rehab as much as men. And women also have kind of some unique, let's say, emotional needs potentially after a heart event. And we do know this. And one of the first programs we developed at the Canadian Women's Heart Health Centre here in Ottawa is called Women at Heart. It's a peer support program. This program was developed in direct response to the needs of our patients, who are women, saying, I need, in my recovery, to talk to people who've been through this. And we developed a program where any woman who's admitted to the hospital actually receives support from a woman at the bedside right away, but can also join a peer support group in recovery. And it's led by women with heart disease who successfully recovered from heart disease. They provide support for groups of women who have just experienced a heart event. And that's an incredible program and incredible support that's been provided to women with heart disease in our community.
Well, how brilliant is that? Because I think there's something, you feel very alone. I mean, when you experience anything like that. So having that type of support is quite brilliant.
You do, and yeah, I think I think having that support is important. Mental health is so important. We think obviously heart is related to our physical health, but mental health, stress, anxiety is so linked to our physical health as well. So it's really important to get support for our mental health, and that keeps us, our physical health in shape as well.
Well, that is amazing. Happy Heart Month and happy Wear Red Day today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much. People can visit wearredcanada.ca, and donations to the Heart Institute this month, all month, will be doubled. So we encourage you to also support the Ottawa Heart Institute. Thanks so much.
Well, I love that. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Dr. Carrie Ann Mullen joining us today, Director of Canadian Women's Heart Health Centre at the University of Ottawa Heart Institute. We appreciate her time very much. So I have to bring you a little bit of an update. On Friday, we had a gentleman join us by the name of Tristan Olaf. So Tristan was starting a fundraising campaign for a woman who came from the Congo and is living here in Canada. She has a daughter who passed away in 2020, very tragically, leaving 6 children behind. This grandma, Irene is her name, who works as a cleaner at Carleton University, has been trying to get these 6 children here. She wants to care for them here in Canada, and she's been trying to get them here. The government insisted that she have $35,000 available in cash to care for them, to get them sort of set up, for their first time here in Canada. She had saved $15,000. Now you can imagine, on a salary of someone working in the cleaning industry, they're not paid enough, in my opinion, not paid enough for what they're worth. That job is one that, I take a lot of respect for people that do that type of work. So she had saved $15,000 on her own. She was sharing with a number of people that she still needed to raise the $20,000, and the deadline is looming. The deadline is Wednesday. She has to show the government in her bank account she has $35,000. So we were helping to share the story here. So this was Friday. We had a conversation with Tristan. I've just received an email from Tristan, and I have to share it with you because City News listeners are the best. Our City News web editor, Anil Jolly, also put this story up on our website. So you can go there and read it, and you can listen to the interview I had with Tristan. But here's the update I've just received a few minutes ago. So it says, "Hi, Sam. Hope you had a lovely weekend. I just wanted to update you on the fundraiser and extend my kindest thanks once more for helping us spread awareness. With the deadline on Wednesday, we are up to $17,000, over 270 donations. We are 85% of our way to our final goal, up $7,000 since our interview on Friday," which is fantastic. Most incredibly, yesterday, one of your listeners reached out to me via email and then phone saying he wanted to support but didn't feel comfortable donating online. So I drove to meet him, and believe it or not, he shared $1,000 in cash to help the cause. Irene and I then went to deposit her funds into her resettlement account and also listened to our interview together in the car for the first time. And she was overcome with tears of joy and happiness. Her whole family's been following the fundraiser, and they can't believe how it's all going to work out. Appreciate the work that you do. And there's a photo of Tristan and Irene. This is what this city is all about. This is why I love this city. So we're hoping, Irene, it all works out for her and those beautiful 6 grandchildren can be reunited with their grandma. We've got lots for you today. We're going to be speaking with Carly Fennell, NFL's Senior Director of Player Health and Innovation Data Management. I'm fascinated with this role. We're going to speak with Carly when we come back in a few minutes. We're also going to speak with the Honourable Ahmed Hussein, Minister of Housing and Diversity and Inclusion, regarding a housing announcement. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
Your mouth can do a lot of amazing things. And your mouth can save a life.
Hi, I'm Tom Wong. I'm just one of close to 1,000 Canadians in search of a stem cell match. We need your help.
A simple swab is all you need to register on the National Stem Cell Database. You could be the one to save a life. Find the hero in you.
On Monday's Daytime Ottawa, the Museum of Nature joined us on the show. They have some fantastic activities happening leading up to the final weekend of Winterlude. They also have some great activities happening around Family Day. We'll give you all the details. And we'll have some last-minute Valentine's Day ideas, including a fantastic spritzer for you to enjoy. And we'll introduce you to a brand new martial arts community going on out in Orleans. All that and more on Monday's Daytime Ottawa.
Once upon a time, in a nursery rhyme, there were 3 bears. 1, 2, 3 bears. And they went a-walking in the cool woods a-talking while their porridge began.
Rogers TV invites you to let your imagination roam as we present Ottawa Storytellers. Each week we'll present a collection of original creative stories and inspirations for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers on Rogers TV.
Everyone loves a snow day, but less fortunate kids in Ottawa are missing out because they don't have a warm winter snowsuit. Help kids in need and have fun at the same time by joining the Snowsuit Fund's Snow Angel Challenge. Simply fall back in the snow, make a snow angel, and upload your photo or video to social media. The Snow Angel Challenge, a very cool way to help keep kids warm. Visit snowsuitfund.com to learn more and donate.
That's the way I kill my skill sharpen, cause I've been here sharpening.
What's going on, y'all? It's Jay Morris, aka your favorite light skin, and you're gonna check out my performance on Encore Ottawa 3 coming up this week. Let's go.
All again, murderation, 911, call it in. Neon murder every.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, we don't really think about it, but data is everywhere, and how we're using it is most important. And sometimes this is a topic that doesn't really get a lot of attention, but we wanted to spend time today with Carly Fennell, NFL's Senior Director of Player Health and Innovation Data Management. Hi, Carly.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm sure you've been busy recently.
It's been very busy, yes. This morning I woke up and was a little bit tired, but good to go. Good to go now.
So give us a sense. When I say Senior Director of Player Health and Innovation Data Management, give us a sense of what you do. How are your days spent?
For sure, yeah. So basically, I am within the data and analytics organization, and that organization supports the various departments across the NFL. And so what my job specifically is meant to do is I am really meant to drive all the support from a data and analytics standpoint for the health and innovation department. So I want to make sure that all of their key initiatives are being, enabled in the right way and even accelerated through the work that the data and analytics team can do.
It's absolutely fascinating. And give us a sense of how you got into this, Carly.
Yeah, so it's been a pretty awesome and winding kind of meandering journey. I started in biomechanics and engineering and human movement. And I think it really all stemmed from my grandmother, who was a little bit immobile when she was in her 50s. And so she was sort of got her athleticism, and she sort of got that out, and her love for sport out from fandom. And so at a very young age, I was very interested in sport, and as was my entire family and all my sisters. So that's really what stemmed it. And I love math, I love physics. So the engineering and the human movement aspect side of things is what really got me into it. And that field naturally has quite a lot of analytics to start with, just because of the nature of the way that data is collected in that field. But I would say I didn't truly get into data and analytics until a little bit later in my career, after sort of directing research and that kind of thing at a footwear startup company, where I really felt like I was limited by not having some core skills like coding and really understanding the different machine learning techniques that you can apply to gather insights from data. So I took a data science boot camp that was offered out of Lighthouse Labs in Vancouver, and that really allowed me to sort of pivot directly into the data and analytics field, and I've really loved it ever since.
Because I think of, people think about the NFL, they think about stats on the field in terms of rushing and touchdowns and that kind of thing, but this is so incredibly different. How does it benefit players?
That's right. Yeah, it's much different. The benefit to players is, the NFL is very committed to trying to constantly understand and measure how different ways the game is it's violent, right? So how do we mitigate that? And there's different levers that health and safety will pull in order to try and make the game safer. So that could be equipment innovation, that could be rule changes, that could be coaching in terms of training and technique. So ultimately, as a player, if the coach or the health and safety is seeing something where you can provide better training techniques for a certain tackle in order to reduce injury, that's ultimately good for the players.
Wow, that's fascinating. That's fascinating. What would you say to other women, Carly, that want to get into anything to do with STEM or analytics?
Yeah, I would hope that, I think there's a lot of work that we need to be doing for sure. It's come a long way since I first got into the field, but certainly data and analytics and STEM in general is for everyone. So, you just need to be curious. You need to have sort of this insatiable desire to learn and for information. You never can quite master data and analytics because there's always something new. There's new technology emerging. But if you are open to learn and you're curious and, especially if you're a good communicator, I think that it really, truly is for everyone. That being said, I will say as a mom, it's been an interesting journey to navigate through a pretty high-powered and quick career. So I always like talking about that part of it, because when I had my first kid, it was a pretty difficult and complicated decision. I don't think it needed to be. I think that we need to be providing more examples of that and talking about it. And you need a lot of support at home for sure, but you can step away and you can have a family, and you can also do really well in these kinds of fields as well.
Absolutely. And I think I analyze data from a nonprofit perspective when I'm not here on City News. And I think, once you get into it, it's a bit addictive. Like you want to kind of analyze everything, right? So I totally understand. And I'm a mom too. And I get it. I've had to make those choices in terms of work, and your point is well taken about the support you need to make it through. It makes all the difference. Carly, thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sam.
Carly Fennell joining us today, NFL Senior Director of Player Health and Innovation Data Management. What a fascinating role that is. I watched the big game last night, Noah.
I must say, Sam, I did too.
It was pretty exciting.
Oh my God. That right up until the end there, I was kind of just glued to the edge of my seat and watching Patrick Mahomes kind of on one leg.
It was incredible. I was really worried. At one point, I thought, he's out.
And I think because when we talked about it on Friday, both you and I both said we were kind of hoping to see the Chiefs kind of pull through, even though most people were leaning towards seeing the Eagles.
I was for the Eagles.
Were you? Okay, maybe I remember talking to you.
You were for the Chiefs.
I were for the Chiefs. So I'm a happy man, I will say. And then Patrick Mahomes, even if you don't like the Chiefs, the fact that he got MVP for the NFL and everything, it was just an outstanding night for him.
Oh, for sure. And lots of different storylines, of course. The mom, of course, with the two sons.
Right.
That was a very cool thing, seeing her in the stands with her special jersey on.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. Lots of different storylines, of course. Always a storyline about the ads. We talked about some of those ads earlier.
Yeah.
Melissa McCarthy's Booking.com is my favorite by far.
That was probably my favorite one too.
Loved it.
Steve Martin one, I like.
Steve Martin, fantastic as well for Pepsi. And of course, the halftime show is always a big story as well. What did you think of Rihanna?
I'm not super familiar. I know all of her hits, of course, like Umbrella and everything. So my girlfriend was kind of explaining it to me because I'm not too familiar with it, that it's kind of was like a catalog of her most famous hits. And I didn't notice the subtle kind of, or maybe not so subtle hints that she was given on stage to the big news that kind of has been breaking now as of this morning.
Right.
Of course, that's Rihanna is pregnant with her second child.
Right.
Which is great. And I guess I totally missed that, but that seemed to kind of be the bigger draw of that halftime show, is that kind of secret that she was holding on to.
Yeah.
So very, very cool.
Well, it's funny because I was watching with my daughter and she sort of rubbed her belly a bit. And I said to Avery, "Did you see that?" She goes, "No, I don't know. What do you mean?" She didn't
you
notice.
are a mom, Sam, so those instincts
well, maybe
kicked
I'm
in.
just heightened to that
And did
kind
you
of
know,
stuff.
speaking of last night, it was actually one of the highest scoring Super Bowl games in recent history.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, really cool. I think it was an exciting game. And as someone who doesn't follow the NFL season kind of religiously, I think to tune in for a game like that was just a treat. So
for sure. And having everybody on those platforms, I know she was locked and loaded. She was tethered to that, but it's still a little bit scary to see somebody high up, and all the other dancers and stuff. I've got to be honest, I wasn't a big fan of the costumes for the dancers. They look like marshmallows to me.
You know what? I said the exact same to my girlfriend. I was like, they look like plop down marshmallows, like squish marshmallows. Yeah. A bit of a strange costume choice.
Yeah, but absolutely big day, of course, for the Chiefs. They looked pretty happy, pretty tight game, right down to the wire there, which was always lots of fun.
Yeah, it was incredible.
And appreciate you chatting all things Super Bowl with us. Hopefully you enjoyed your Super Bowl and you're at work today.
Always.
Lots of people called in sick today, Noah.
I see that. I was saying to Aaron, looks like we have quite an empty office today.
We're pretty good.
I wonder why.
I don't know. Lots of people enjoyed their evening, that's for sure. We've got lots coming up for you. Of course, the Honorable Ahmed Hussein's going to join us, Minister of Housing and Diversity and Inclusion. He's going to talk about a housing announcement, which is really interesting. Speaking about housing, Caitlin Coleman's going to join us. She's a homeowner with Cardell. And we know that there have been lots of challenges with builders. We've been hearing over the last week or so, a lot of people being out a lot of money when it comes to builders not following through on what they say they're going to do. Caitlin's going to give us her sense of what's happened with her home in Carleton Place. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
This week on Simply Cooking by Chef, simple salads that will last all week in the fridge, give you a burst of flavor, and will please a big crowd.
The regulars, the guys who keep this place in business. Last week, they had something to celebrate. Jason had just finished university, so they toasted his profs, his TAs, his old roommates. Well, they toasted just about everyone. But I worry about and take care of my guys. So even when I know they're not driving, sometimes that means bringing them a little surprise. And then they had a drink to me.
Brought to you by Smart Serve Ontario and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
There we go.
Hey, going back in, okay?
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Ladies, leave your man at home tonight.
Hi, this is Dominique Orley. I'm a part of Encore 3, and be sure to catch my set this week.
We are going downtown, leaving out all your stress and your sorrow.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Monday, February the 13th. Good morning. I'm Chris Curries. Right now in Ottawa, it's -2. It's -1 in Smiths Falls. Here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. A chaotic scene this morning in Orleans after an explosion rattled the neighborhood. It was a gas leak that led to a loud boom that shook homes nearby, rattled windows off their cages, sent insulation scattered across the area, knocked doors off their hinges. It happened in 4 under-construction homes on Blossom Pass Terrace, which is off 10th line south of Brian Coburn Drive. Now, the first calls came into first responders at 6:18 this morning, while the first person rescued from the rubble was at 7:19. The second person trapped in the wreckage was rescued at 9:31. Reed Purdy is the operations manager with the Ottawa Paramedic Service and provides an update on total injuries.
We've spoken to, assessed 11 patients, 2 people originally trapped from the original blast site. Both have been extricated in serious but stable condition. We've transported 3 other patients with minor injuries. 5 have been assessed on site and released from site, so 11 total.
The Red Cross and Salvation Army are on site to assist the families and those in the neighborhood. Catherine Kitts is the local counselor and tells City News how she found out about the blast.
You know, right away, shortly after I woke up, my phone started getting flooded with people that had felt the blast and not necessarily anywhere close to the site. So it was felt widely throughout the East End. And so, you know, people at first were just wondering what happened. You know, is it an explosion? Is it an earthquake? And then, you know, immediately, you know, I reached out to my contacts in Ottawa Fire and the Chief Ayat, and just to say, you know, what's going on? Can anyone give me any information? So that's how I started my day.
Nearby schools are on standby to help if needed, and we can expect further updates throughout the day. City News time is 11:02. Let's take a look at your forecast for weather specialist Denise Andriachi.
Partly to mostly cloudy conditions as we move through the afternoon. There is this slight chance of seeing some scattered flurries, but nothing that's really impactful. It was a fairly quiet weekend, and we are going to be pretty quiet today. Guaranteed high of +2. We're down to near -6 overnight. Sun and cloud in the forecast Tuesday, and a nice day again. Highs near +4. The guaranteed high today, 2 degrees.
Again, right now in Ottawa, -2, -1 in Smiths Falls. The Prime Minister is in Yukon today as the search continues to recover the wreckage of the flying object shot down over the territory this weekend. City News Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney joins us with more.
The Prime Minister's trip to Yukon was previously planned, but it comes at an important time as questions about our northern defences mount in the wake of these flying objects. Justin Trudeau will be meeting with Yukon's premier before speaking with reporters. The military, the RCMP, and even the FBI are still searching for the debris of the cylinder-shaped object taken down by an American fighter jet over a remote and rugged area of the territory. Speaking on CNN, our Defense Minister, Anita Anand, says at this time they can't confirm if this incident is also linked to China.
My modus operandi is to make sure that we have the debris analyzed before we are making further statements of fact.
On Saturday, the minister said the object is potentially similar to the Chinese spy balloon destroyed off the coast of North Carolina over a week ago. China claims it was just a weather balloon. Since then, there have been 3 other objects shot down, one off the coast of Alaska Friday, this object in Yukon, and another yesterday that was shot down in U.S. airspace over Lake Huron. The Prime Minister said both Canada and the U.S. are taking this very seriously and are in constant contact. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
And I'm Chris Curries. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for spending time with us here on City News. Mark Day, our news director for City News, has just returned from Orleans. He's in studio with me now. Mark, give me a sense of what's happened in Orleans today.
Yeah, I mean, not the way you want to wake up on a Monday morning, and I'm sure, for so many people who live in that area off of 10th Line, it just, that explosion just rocking you out of bed, and the amount of rescue crews that are on scene, stretches right down that road with fire and paramedics and police and the Salvation Army on scene and OC Transpo buses there as well to help those who have had to leave their homes. So that's what you first see when you arrive on scene, and just like surveying some of the damage in and around that area, even across the street, a couple of blocks over, you'll see garage doors with the windows blown out. There's insulation just everywhere across the road. It flew for miles. It was just incredible to see how much damage from that structure and the amount of damage it caused elsewhere in that community. But I was standing on a snow hill trying to get a picture of some of the scenes, and it's just covered in insulation. And even some debris from that home that exploded across the street as well.
That's incredible. Well, Mark, we're following this story obviously very closely. We appreciate you joining us. This has been, a really remarkable morning today in Orleans, but we're thinking about everybody in Orleans. We're still waiting, of course, to hear more from fire and paramedics and police. And as we do that through the day, we'll definitely share that with our listeners.
Yes, for sure. We'll be up to date.
Mark Day, our news director here on City News, joining us. We wanted to go today as well and speak with the Honorable Ahmed Hussein, joining us, Minister of Housing and Diversity and Inclusion. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Hussein, it's a big day today. I understand that a big announcement has been made today. Can you give us the details in terms of housing?
Yes, I joined Mayor Sutcliffe and my federal colleagues, Minister Fortier and members of Parliament Yasser Naqvi and Anita Vandenbelt, to announce a federal investment of $18.5 million to the city of Ottawa to build at least 48 rapid affordable housing units. This is much needed investment. It is part of the third round of the federal rapid housing initiative, and we know that these minimum of 48 deeply affordable, rapidly built housing units will help women and children and other vulnerable populations who are in severe housing need or who are experiencing homelessness or who are at risk of experiencing homelessness. And these projects are expected to be completed by late 2024.
And we know that housing, Minister, is top of mind for so many, especially coming out of this pandemic. You indicated, this was a certain round of funding. Is there more to come in the future as well?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, this is the third round. In both the first and second round of the Rapid Housing Initiative, we've been there for the City of Ottawa. In addition to that, I made an announcement of $165 million federal money to go into 11,000 units of housing in Ottawa to repair them as part of the Ottawa community housing stock. So we invested, that is the largest federal government investment in housing in Ottawa, to revitalize and make energy efficient and extend the lifespan of 11,000 units of deeply affordable housing in Ottawa. And there's been so many other projects that I announced personally with former Mayor Watson, and now with this new one with Mayor Sutcliffe. We know that the City of Ottawa has been great at leveraging federal housing investments to build housing in Ottawa. So I expect that there will be more announcements coming because we are committed to making sure that we support the City of Ottawa in its goal to build thousands of deeply affordable homes.
Minister Hussein, when you drive around Ottawa, when you're here in the capital, and you see so many people on the streets of the capital, it has definitely changed through the pandemic. We see such a rise in that. Does that also sort of influence some of these decisions, knowing that so many people are on that wait list? I think we're up to 12,000 people on the wait list for affordable housing here in this region. And then you add, the opioid addiction crisis, you add in the pandemic and mental health crisis. It all seems to come to a boiling point, but housing seems to be the number one solution.
I completely agree, and in fact the Rapid Housing Initiative came about because we recognized it's a new program, relatively speaking, because it came in during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we recognized the need to put together a rapid housing program to deal with the displacement caused by the pandemic, and it's been very effective. And in fact, at the end of this third round of the Rapid Housing Initiative, when you add up the first, second, and third round, we expect the construction of over 14,500 deeply affordable housing units across the country, and a good number of them will be in Ottawa. In terms of making sure that we work with municipal leaders, we work with the nonprofits to not only help people find the homes that they deserve, but also the services, the wraparound supports with respect to mental health, with respect to addictions. That's part of our strategy as well. Last week the federal government announced a historic investment in healthcare and mental health, which incorporates mental health and community health support. These will prove crucial in partnering with municipal governments to making sure that through the provincial health dollars that are being added to by the federal government, that we support communities as they struggle with these real challenges. Particularly to housing, though, the National Housing Strategy and our federal homelessness strategy called Reaching Home, those two strategies have been very effective in working with local governments like the City of Ottawa to make sure that we support them in their efforts to deal with the housing challenges that have come as a result of COVID.
Minister, do we have a sense of where these 48 new units will be created yet, or is that decision to come?
That decision will come from the city in partnership with the nonprofit sector. They have to submit those plans by March 15th this year, and the announcements on those specific projects will start to take place after around mid-May. But I can tell you from my experience with the first round of the Rapid Housing Initiative and the second round, the City of Ottawa has made really good use of this program to build deeply affordable, rapidly built housing. And this is just the city stream. The project stream of the Rapid Housing Initiative third round is still available for nonprofits in Ottawa to apply to get that federal money to build that deep affordable housing, rapidly built housing in Ottawa.
Is it a lot of pressure, Minister, to have this in your portfolio, knowing the kind of winters that we have, knowing the pressures that are on Canadians right now with the interest rate hikes and everything in terms of inflation? Is it a role that keeps you up at night?
Well, absolutely. I mean, look, I think it's a top priority for communities from coast to coast to coast, and they expect the government of Canada to be there. We have brought federal leadership back into the housing issue through the National Housing Strategy, a $72 billion 10-year plan. And that plan is about making sure that every Canadian has access to deeply affordable housing that meets their needs. Whether it is building more rental stock in Ottawa, whether it is building more shelter space, whether it is making sure that folks have rental supports through the Canada Housing Benefit, a real program that puts money in the pockets of Canadians to pay their rent. We've been there and will continue to be there. We're not the only partner. We need partners across all orders of government. The federal government cannot do it alone, but Canadians expect the federal government to play a major role, and we are doing that. And I can assure Ottawans through your program that the government of Canada will be a long-term, stable, predictable funding partner to the people of Ottawa as we build more affordable housing in Ottawa. And our record shows, if you see the number of projects that we've announced over the last number of years, real projects that have resulted in real homes for people living there, taken off the streets, others who are in core housing need, who have gotten housing that actually meets their needs with the right support. That's the result of our partnership, but there is more work to be done. I agree with you, there's absolutely more work to be done, but Ottawans can be assured about the fact that the Government of Canada is here and will be here to support them by investing federal dollars to support community housing projects.
Minister, I know it's a very busy day for you. Thanks for taking time out to spend it with us here on City News.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
The Honourable Ahmed Hussein joining us, Minister of Housing and Diversity and Inclusion, an announcement of $18.5 million from the federal government for that rapid housing initiative, resulting in 48 new units hopefully built in 2024. We're going to be talking about housing on our lunch panel today. We hope that you join us. Rob Boyd's going to be here and Dean Tester is going to be here as well. When we come back, Yasser Naqvi is going to be here, MP for Ottawa Centre. Lots to talk to Yasser about today. Come on back on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
Clubs, leagues, and courts in every province and territory across Canada, squash is the sport for wall-to-wall fun, fitness, and friendship. From coast to coast to coast. Learn to play and you'll want to do it every day. Squash. Play inside the box.
I'm not special. Cancer happens to people all the time. I take 1 mile at a time, 26 miles a day. I want to set an example that'll never be forgotten. Sometimes, it feels endless. But the pain I feel is nothing. I've seen little kids in so much pain. Somewhere, the hurting must stop.
Fox ran more than halfway across Canada to raise money for cancer research. Every year, millions of people around the world continue the marathon of hope in his name.
Everyone loves a snow day, but less fortunate kids in Ottawa are missing out because they don't have a warm winter snowsuit. Help kids in need and have fun at the same time by joining the Snowsuit Fund's Snow Angel Challenge. Simply fall back in the snow, make a snow angel, and upload your photo or video to social media. The Snow Angel Challenge, a very cool way to help keep kids warm. Visit snowsuitfund.com to learn more and donate.
That's the way I kill my skill sharpen, cause I've been here sharpening.
What's going on, y'all? It's Jay Morris, aka your favorite light skin, and you're gonna check out my performance on Encore Ottawa 3 coming up this week. Let's go.
All again, murderation, 911 call it in. Neon murder every.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
And we're back on City News. Yasser Nadfi, MP for Ottawa Centre, is joining me. Hello, Yasser.
Good morning, Sam. How are you?
Good. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you. We just got off the phone with the Honourable Ahmed Hussein, of course, Minister of Housing and Diversity and Inclusion. I think you've had a very busy morning.
We just made another exciting announcement in terms of how do we prevent homelessness in our community and build more affordable and social housing rapidly. And so the minister, as you probably heard, made an announcement for $18.5 million for at least 48 more new affordable homes in our community, working along with City of Ottawa.
Well, it's definitely a very busy day for you. It's not even lunchtime yet, Yasser. And,
more things to come.
And you're doing all sorts of great things. And this one is really near and dear to my heart. You have indicated today that there's some monies heading towards women's cardiovascular disease and helping out the University of Ottawa Heart Institute. What happened today?
Yeah, so today is actually Wear Red Canada Day, which is an annual reminder of the persistent challenges 1 in 3 women across our country face when it comes to cardiovascular health. I recently met Dr. Coutinho, who's an expert in preventing and treating cardiovascular health for women at the University of Ottawa Heart Institute. And I was so shocked and surprised to learn that cardiovascular is perhaps one of the largest cause of illness and death for women in Canada. So much of the work, of course, rightly goes into preventing breast cancer and cervical cancer for women, but there's much needed work needs to happen in cardiovascular health for women as well. And that was the announcement that we made, and working along with University of Ottawa Heart Institute to create more screening, more prevention tools for women in relation to cardiovascular health.
And give us a sense. We know that there's obviously some monies put aside for this. Where do the monies come from?
The money is coming from Government of Canada through the Public Health Agency of Canada. We're investing $568,000, which is being matched by the Ottawa Heart Institute as well. So about $1 million are going towards creating better health outcomes for women when it comes to cardiovascular health. They have a Canadian Women's Heart Health Center, which will be creating a cardiovascular prevention and care network. This network will be providing further prevention, screening, and treatment for cardiovascular disease in women.
Mm-hmm. And to your point, I think it's shocking. We had Dr. Mullen join us a few minutes ago on City News here talking about the fact that really and you were surprised too at the numbers, Yasser, in terms of the amount of women that struggle with this. We typically think about it as a quote unquote man's disease, right?
That was exactly it. I come from a family where heart disease is quite prominent, and my entire family are always very extra cautious and deploy preventive mechanisms when it comes to heart disease. But it's mostly the men in our family who talk about it. But as I was having this meeting with the experts at the Heart Institute, it just dawned on me, and I shared with them that my grandmother, my father's mother, died at age of 62 because of heart disease. So right in my family, and she was fairly young. I mean, that was a long time ago. She lived in India at that time, so different conditions, but it was completely a preventable disease. And so I think if we all think about instances in our family, we may recognize people, women in our family who have suffered from cardiovascular health and disease. And so this is something that's not much spoken about. One of the terms that I learned when I was meeting with the experts here at Ottawa Heart Institute is that they were talking about that there's a lot of focus when it comes to women's health in relation to, and their term, bikini medicine. And it was the first time I heard that term, and bikini medicine refers to focusing on breast and breast cancer and cervical cancer. And they were making an argument that these are very important aspects of women's health, but heart as well, and we need far more work needs to happen in Canada and in that relation.
Absolutely. And when you think about, Yasser, all the announcements, that you get to make, obviously Canadians are worried about so many things right now, healthcare being one of them, housing being another. You made announcements on both of those today. Do you think we're making a dent, Yasser, in what needs to get accomplished in this country?
I think we continue to improve. There's so much needs to happen, especially, Sam, after as we're living through the pandemic. Hopefully, we are at the end of it. We've seen many more new challenges that have surfaced because of this pandemic. So I would say to you, I'm never satisfied in terms of the progress we've made, because there's so much more needs to happen, especially when it comes to our healthcare. I mean, I think that is the number one thing that I hear from my constituents in my community is the state of our healthcare system, the fact that people have to wait almost over 20 hours in an emergency to get care, the fact that our own CHIO have to call in the Red Cross for help. I mean, we've never seen something like this. So these are significant challenges that we need to address because they go to the basic needs of our communities.
Appreciate your time as always, Yasser. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sam.
Yasser Naqvi joining us today, MP for Ottawa Centre, talking about women's heart health and investment there of $568,000 into the University of Ottawa Heart Institute, particularly for women's cardiovascular disease. It is Heart Month. It's Wear Red Day today, and I forgot my red. I'm so mad. But I'm thinking about it. I wanted to also make a small donation as well to the Heart Institute today to recognize Heart Month, a very important day, of course, and in our community, I should say. And of course, this month is Heart Month. When we come back, Caitlin Coleman's going to be here. She's going to talk about some challenges she's had as a new homeowner. We've been hearing stories all week about people that have been really up to their armpits in terms of the amount of monies they've given some of these builders, and the builders have not come through. We're going to speak with Caitlin about her particular situation. Steve Warren's going to be here. He is, of course, the Steve Warren Sports Show on City News. We're going to talk all things Sens. Well, we might talk a little Super Bowl. We might do that. We're also getting ready for our lunch today. Dean Tester's going to be here. Rob Boyd's going to be here. We're going to be talking about housing. We're going to be talking about the opioid addiction crisis in this country as well. We're also going to talk about those unidentified objects being shot down 4 in 8 days. We're going to be asking the guys what they think of that. And we're also getting ready for the business lunch here on City News. Lots of different businesses to talk about today. We're going to talk a little chocolate today. Anna Stubbs going to join us today and talk about her chocolate business. Because, of course, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Do not forget, if you have someone that you love, stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
This week on Simply Cooking by Chef, simple salads that will last all week in the fridge, give you a burst of flavor, and will please a big crowd.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, my life changed forever. During the pandemic, all of our lives changed, and many of us turned to alcohol and drugs to cope. As life returns to normal, the increase in substance use from COVID has lingered, and some police services report an increase in impaired driving that caused heartbreak and devastation. Now, more than ever, we need your commitment to never drive impaired and to encourage all of your family and friends to do the same. Together, we can save lives.
At Celebrate Ottawa, we love showing you something a little different. We showcase remarkable people highlighting the city's diversity in arts, culture, sports, and nature. We will show you features that prove Ottawa is a vibrant and exciting city. We'll entertain you and we'll even teach you new things. Join me, your host, Lila Grine, as we explore and celebrate Ottawa.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Ladies, leave your man at home tonight.
Hey, this is Dominique Orley. I'm a part of Encore 3, and be sure to catch my set this week.
We are going downtown, leaving out all your stress and your sorrow.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's 11:30 on this Monday, February the 13th. Good morning. I'm Mark Day. Here's what's making news right now. And breaking news from the East End, where 2 people have been taken to hospital in serious but stable condition after a blast destroyed multiple homes in Orleans. That blast, that was caused by a gas leak. That was the sound of it this morning. It shook homes nearby, rattling windows, sent insulation scattered across many neighborhoods, and it happened in 4 under-construction homes, Blossom Pass Terrace. That is off 10th line, south of Brian Colburn Drive. The first calls came in around 6:18, while the first person was rescued, trapped in rubble. That was around 7:19. They were pulled. The second person trapped in the wreckage was rescued around 9:30 this morning. Reed Purdy, the operations manager with Ottawa Paramedic Service, provided this update on the injuries.
We've spoken to, assessed 11 patients. 2 people originally trapped from the original blast site. Both have been extricated in serious but stable condition. We've transported 3 other patients with minor injuries. 5 have been assessed on site and released from site, so 11 total.
The Red Cross, Salvation Army are on site to assist the families and those in the neighborhood. Some OC Transpo buses provided as well. Catherine Kitts, local councillor, tells City News how she found out about the blast.
You know, right away, shortly after I woke up, my phone started getting flooded with people that had felt the blast and not necessarily anywhere close to the site. So it was felt widely throughout the East End. And so, you know, people at first were just wondering what happened. You know, is it an explosion? Is it an earthquake? And then, you know, immediately, you know, I reached out to my contacts in Ottawa Fire and the Chief Ayat, and just to say, you know, what's going on? Can anyone give me any information? So that's how I started my day.
No life-threatening injuries, but again, 12 people injured from that blast. Amy Bond, Ottawa Police Service, says the force is working with the Ontario Fire Marshal's Office to investigate the cause of the explosion. Stay with City News. We'll keep you up to date throughout the day. I'm Mark Day. For News Anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, you know the excitement of buying a brand new house. You know, sometimes you're even at the stage where you get to pick your own tile and your own flooring and your own exterior, all of those exciting things about being a brand new homeowner. Well, sometimes it doesn't go the way you think. Caitlin Coleman's joining me today. Hi, Caitlin.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Caitlin, I understand that you purchased a brand new home. Give us some details.
Yes, about about 2 years ago, we purchased a pre-build from Cardell in Carleton Place at the Miller's Crossing development. It was our second time purchasing from this builder. And we took possession in June of 2022.
And give us a sense. I just bought a brand new home myself, so I know what that process is like. And you walk in for the very first time, and you're kind of butterflies. It's kind of exciting. Was it exciting for you, Caitlin?
Well, we were pretty disappointed, to be honest. We had been delayed for over 8 months, and so we had expected our house to be completed when we finally did get to move in. And to our dismay, the house was considered livable, and so they were able to make us close on the house, but most of the work still hadn't really been done.
So give us a sense. You walk in the front door. What hadn't been completed, Caitlin?
Well, our entire kitchen island was missing. They had put in a makeshift island made of just cheap material. So for the first 6 months that we were living there, we just had like a fake island, even though we had paid for quartz countertop and a beautiful wood material to be stained as part of our kitchen island. And that was just not there. There were a lot of just on the exterior of the house, like our siding is all missing. There's big holes of where our brick should be. What else? Basically, all of the gables, the flashing, the fascia is missing on the exterior of the house. They did not seal our home either. So basically we've been living in an unfinished home for the last 8 months.
So the one thing I do know is Terrian, you have 30 days to sort of fill out that Terrian warranty, and then you've got another year, and there's all sorts of deadlines that we're all, told to keep in mind. What's happened with Terrian?
So we sent in our 30-day report to Terrion. There were over 124 items on that report, a lot of it having to do with the exterior of the house being incomplete. And Terrion is basically, they often protect the builder. They're said to protect the buyer, but we have yet to have them stand up for us in any way, shape, or form. Basically, everything that we've been asking to get done is we're just kind of being given the runaround. So now we're at the point where we have to file for conciliation, and we have to pay Terrion for an inspector to come in. We have to pay for this inspector and to basically say what is wrong with our home and what is unfinished and how we can be, paid back for that. But the thing is it's not necessarily about getting money. We just want our house to be finished. We want the exterior of our house to be finished. We want the interior of our house to be finished. Because for us to hire all these trades could take significantly longer. Getting the materials, sourcing the materials, we wouldn't know the first thing about doing that. We counted on the builder to, do their end of the deal, basically.
Well, and the agreement between you and the builder, if it's like the agreement I had to sign, honestly, it was 2 inches thick about every single thing that the builder would have to do. So is it not just easier for the builder? I mean, I'm saying this tongue in cheek to you, but is it not just easier for the builder just to complete the work? What is the builder saying to you in terms of the missing items? Like, is it a trades issue? Is it a supply chain issue? What's the issue?
Yes to all of those things. They're saying that they can't get the trades in and they can't get the supplies in. But in my opinion, they should have ordered those supplies a year and a half ago and then based our closing date on that. And then also the trades, well, I'm watching them build all these other houses in our neighborhood with these trades. Like, how about you finish one house that you've started instead of building up new houses? Mm-hmm. But, during this time when we bought that house, the economy was crazy. The housing market was crazy. They wanted to bank on, selling as many houses as possible, even though they knew that they didn't have the bandwidth to complete them.
And we're seeing other builders in the news being talked about in terms of letting people down. People have lost, from the reports I saw, hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases. Was it disheartening to see that, this is another issue with another builder on top of the issues you're having with your builder?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just kind of really worried. We've, invested in this dream house, and, we don't even know what we're not seeing that's wrong with this house. Like, we had an inspector come in when we first moved in because we were so concerned, and we're missing insulation. We have birds living in our roof because there's no siding on our house, basically, so they can just come in and out. We have astronomical heating bills because the exterior of our house wasn't sealed. And so we're just being forced to live with this. And every time we talk to Cardell about it, they just basically give us the runaround. And so we're feeling pretty helpless at this point.
Well, we're going to invite Cardell on to see if they can share some of the issues that they're having so they can sort of help us understand as well. So we're going to make that invitation. My producer, Aaron, will reach out to Cardell Homes and ask for that. What's the objective today, Caitlin, of spending time with me today on City News and sharing your story? What are you hoping?
Honestly, I just hope that this maybe puts a fire under their bums just to finish what they started and understand that, this is our supposed to be dream house that we were living in, and we paid in full for it, and we're really only getting 75% of the house that we paid for. And it honestly shouldn't be like pulling teeth to get our house finished, and especially in the winter time when we should probably have siding on the house and have it sealed and that kind of thing. I would just love to see them get our house complete.
Because I think, if you're like me, you would walk through the model home, or, you get all excited and thinking that's what you're getting. And when it comes and falls short like that, are there any sort of safety concerns you have, Caitlin?
At this point, no safety concerns, but we really do have a lack of faith in, how, like, the quality of the home and the trades that they used. And we don't know what we're going to find next. We have windows that are leaking already. They, painted the entire house the wrong color. We're missing a roof vent. We're missing insulation. There's cracks in our foundation, cracks in our porch, cracks in our garage. It's frightening, really.
Is it emotional, Caitlin?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're trying to be very patient and trying to be understanding, in this kind of environment when, we were going through COVID and that kind of thing. But, I think the main thing that I would love for our builder to learn is to not overextend themselves, even though, the market is calling and they can make a lot of money. Well, they're doing a lot of cleanup now, which, it's been very hard on us.
Caitlin, you were saying, you look around and you see them doing new homes, yet yours isn't finished yet. That would absolutely frustrate me beyond belief, by the way. So I totally understand that. Do other neighbors have the same issue where they've been moved in and they're working off, an island that, is just kind of cheap material and all the issues, birds in their, roof and all that kind of thing? Are they dealing with that too, or is yours kind of a one-off?
Yes, we have, sorry.
Caitlin, are you still there?
Sorry about that. Yes, we do have neighbors, and we have a Facebook group where we all discuss our issues. And there's a lot of serious issues that have been going on with our neighbors as well. However, I do feel like our house is specific and one of the worst ones in the worst shape.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Caitlin. I know how much goes into, to buying a home, and it's just heartbreaking. And the community of Carleton Place is beautiful. Are you enjoying the community aside from all the issues with your home?
Yes, we do. We absolutely love Carleton Place. It's a great neighborhood, very family-oriented, and wonderful people.
What words of advice would you have for anybody that's maybe thinking about buying new or going through this process, or maybe they've bought new and they're about to get keys to their dream home?
I would say just, hire an inspector that's not with the builder and really check everything thoroughly so that you know what you're really getting into.
Mm-hmm. Wise words. Caitlin, thank you so much. I hope this gets resolved soon for you.
Thank you.
Caitlin
Bye-bye.
Coleman joining us today. She's a homeowner and trying to get some items in her home resolved for about 8 months now, which would be very, very challenging. So thinking about Caitlin, like I said, we're going to reach out to the builder and invite them here on City News to talk about some of the issues, and we'll play back some of the clips and share what the concerns that Caitlin's having as well. We're getting ready, of course, for the lunch time, and we're going to be inviting in Dean Tester, and Rob Boyd's going to join us as well. But first, we're going to spend some time with Steve Warren. Of course, he is from the Sens Nation podcast and the Steve Warren Sports Show here on City News. You can listen every Saturday between 9 and 10. There's no one that is better talking about the Sens than Steve Warren. You'll want to stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
On Monday's Daytime Ottawa, the Museum of Nature joined us on the show. They have some fantastic activities happening leading up to the final weekend of Winterlude. They also have some great activities happening around Family Day. We'll give you all the details, and we'll have some last-minute Valentine's Day ideas, including a fantastic spritzer for you to enjoy, and we'll introduce you to a brand new martial arts community going on out in Orleans. All that and more on Monday's Daytime Ottawa.
Everybody knows not to drink and drive, but some people still think it's okay to take drugs and drive. Police have the authority, the ability, and the tools to determine if drivers are impaired by legal or illegal drugs. And because drug-impaired drivers can pose just as great a risk as drunk drivers, they face the same penalties, like the loss of their driver's license, a criminal record, fines, and more. A message from the RCMP, the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
Hi, I'm Meg from AIM Fitness, and I'm here with my buddy Fit Finley. Join us every week for Fit Over 50. We'll take you through some low-impact and high-intensity workouts designed to improve your strength and your balance. All you'll need is a resistance band, some light hand weights, and also your water bottle and a sturdy chair. Tune in right here on Rogers TV and let us be part of your weekly routine.
Everyone loves a snow day, but less fortunate kids in Ottawa are missing out because they don't have a warm winter snowsuit. Help kids in need and have fun at the same time by joining the Snowsuit Fund's Snow Angel Challenge. Simply fall back in the snow, make a snow angel, and upload your photo or video to social media. The Snow Angel Challenge, a very cool way to help keep kids warm. Visit snowsuitfund.com to learn more and donate.
That's the way I kill my skill sharpen, cause I've been here sharpening.
What's going on, y'all? It's Jay Morris, aka your favorite light skin, and you're gonna check out my performance on Encore Ottawa 3 coming up this week. Let's go.
All again, murderation, 911 call it in. Neon murder every.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, it's my favorite time of the week. Of course, we're speaking with the one and only Steve Warren. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Sam.
Steve, of course, from the Steve Warren Sports Show here on City News, Saturdays between 9 and 10. Are you having fun with the show?
Absolutely. Yeah, Greg and I are having a great time, and we had Parker Kelly on Saturday from the Sens, and lots of reaction to what's going on with the Ottawa Senators right now and on the Ottawa sports scene. So, yeah, it's absolutely a great time, and I'm hoping the good listeners enjoying it too.
Oh, I'm sure we are. I know I really appreciate you being on. It's just a nice show to have on a Saturday, which is great. Running around doing my groceries, and I'm hearing you, which is great. Steve, well, let's talk a little bit about our Senators. We know, of course, the word of the day, unfortunately, is injuries.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think about that third period on Saturday afternoon. That'll probably go down as their most disastrous period of the season. You think about the circumstances. You got a tie game. The Sens are hoping they're going to win their fifth in a row. Instead, you get this full collapse. 6-3 loss to the Oilers, but then you have the injury factor like you talk about. They lose their only available NHL goalie in Anton Forsberg, and in my opinion, their best defenseman by far in Jake Sanderson. And so, yeah, really disappointing because, I mean, the playoffs were already a huge long shot, and Saturday's third period pretty much finished it off.
And so what does this mean, Steve? Are we pulling people up from the farm team?
Yeah, you got with the injury to Forsberg, he's going to be out for the season with you rarely see it, but he basically ripped up both his knees, not just one. So he's gone for the year. Cam Talbot, the other NHL goalie they have, he's also going to be out for a little while longer here, maybe as many as 2 weeks, but we'll see. You've had to call up Kevin Mandolise, and Matt Sogard was already up for Talbot. So now you have a situation, Sam, where you've got two goaltenders playing for the Ottawa Senators who have collectively 2 NHL starts in their career. So certainly not ideal, but and then there's with Forsberg, you feel really bad for him because he had that nice win streak going with Talbot out. The net was all his for the foreseeable future, and an Edmonton player just fell on him on Saturday afternoon and tear up both knees like that. And you think about his wife and his little kids are there in attendance at the game. Dad is yelling out in pain and being stretchered off. It just kind of adds another layer to things. It
was so painful to even watch, Steve. I mean, it just, you could tell it was serious right away.
Yeah, I mean, if you can picture a goalie in the butterfly position and having I think it was Zach Hyman of the Oilers fall on top of him while he's in that position, and the damage that was probably done to both knees. It's just the perfect storm, a bad storm, and unfortunate that it happened because, opportunity was knocking pretty loudly right now for Anton Forsberg here in Ottawa. And now I think, I wouldn't be surprised in the next few days here that Pierre Dorion goes out and maybe tries to claim a goalie off waivers the way he did to get Forsberg in the first place, or a Marcus Hellberg earlier in the year. So he's done that before, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it here in the next couple of days as well, because you just can't move forward. You've still got a lot of hockey here. It's not necessarily going to be meaningful hockey, but a lot of hockey here where you're going to have to beef up the goaltending position.
Is that injury common, Steve? Because as soon as you described it, and I'm thinking, well, I mean, I've never seen anything like that before, but I don't watch as much hockey as you do. Steve, is that a common injury?
It's a common injury when it's one knee. It's just it was a scramble in the crease, and I believe Hamonic was basically battling with Zach Hyman on the play. And it didn't really hit him hard or anything, but bumped him because he's there and he's in a dangerous position. It's a 5-3 game at that stage. And if the Oilers score there, and they did, the game is basically over. So everybody's in a wild scramble. And, it's a common injury, but you almost never see it happening to both knees. The only thing that I can think, Sam, that would rival it would be a game a number of years ago when Sens defenseman Chris Weidman had Yevgeny Malkin end up falling on top of him in an awkward way, and I believe he tore both of his hamstrings. So it's not a singular injury, not uncommon, but to have both like that, extremely uncommon.
Thanks for that, Steve. And let's talk a little bit about trades. What are you seeing?
Well, I mean, Pierre Dorion has been quoted as saying he wants to be a buyer, but I mean, that's when you say you want to be a buyer, that's another way of saying that you want to beef up your roster and compete for a playoff spot, and that really, as days go on here, it's probably not in the cards for Ottawa, particularly after all the injury news we just talked about. So I think the Sens are probably sellers, honestly. I think they move out some veteran players who will need contracts and try and bring in some mid-range picks. And and let some kids come up from the minors or the college ranks to fill their spots. But I'd never say never. Maybe there's a true hockey deal to be made out there with a Sens forward that everybody loves being shipped out for a good defenseman. Probably a limited market right now because everybody's looking for that good defenseman, and nobody that hopes to make the playoffs is going to be trading away a good defenseman right now because, as they always say, defense wins championships. So you might get Arizona or something, and maybe they revisit the Jacob Chikrin thing, but you're going to have to overpay there, I think, because good defensemen are hard to find.
Is it complicated in terms of the trades because the Senators are for sale? Is that complicated, or is it a non-issue?
Well, it's hard to know with, we haven't seen the team make a lot of big moves or anything like that over the course of the season. It might suggest, and I have no idea, but it might suggest that there's a spending freeze on, which could complicate things if you're going to bring in a situation where you're taking on more money than you're seeing walk out the door. That might mess things up a little bit, and permission would have to be granted if that is the state of the team right now. So, yeah, in answer to your question, it absolutely could complicate things because based on the behavior of the organization throughout the course of this season after a wild spending spree back in the summer, since the summer of Pierre, they really haven't taken on a lot of money or big player acquisitions.
Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, I'm pretty excited for Friday night. I'm heading to the game Friday night, Steve.
Nice.
Because, of course, Chris Neil, the one and only, is having his jersey retired that night, and I absolutely need to be there. He's my favorite.
So you like the physical game, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. You like a bit of the rough stuff, huh?
Don't tease me. I really do love him. And he's a community guy, right? So my favorite, I have to say, I love Chris Phillips too. So Chris and Chris are my dudes. And I just really, really like what he did for the community and just how he continues to still give back even now.
Yeah, I think it's it's been a controversial decision to go ahead and retire Chris Neil's number. There are those who say, you look at the resume, that he was mostly a bottom six forward throughout his career, mostly a fourth line player, would stick up for teammates and play a physical game, and the points weren't eye catching or anything like that. So some people who look at it, they'd say, I don't know if that's retire numbers of guys like that. I think it's unique circumstances here in Ottawa. It's a relatively young franchise, and I think that it's a neat opportunity to honor a guy who has, bled for Ottawa. He has looked after his teammates, and like you say, he's been a beast in the community as well. So it's one of those things where I think in this particular case, like if it's the Montreal Canadiens who've been around for over 100 years, then maybe you're not making this decision. But I look at it like Ken Danico in New Jersey. You see these guys, they don't come along that often. Guys who go wire to wire in their careers. I like it, and I'm looking forward to it too, just like you.
Me too. And I have to tell you, I had him on the show a few weeks ago talking about, of course, his skating trail in Stittsville, Iceland, and, talking to him about all that. And of course, I mentioned the retirement and all of that. And I said to him, Chris, there was nothing like watching you play when you were, scrapping, and then you'd look at us like, hey, like, what'd you think? Like, raising his arms and stuff. And he said, Sam, do you know why I did that? I said, no. He said, it was to let my mom know that I was okay.
No way. I did not know that story. That's a great story.
And honestly, of course, me, Steve, I'm a softie, so of course I start tearing up. And then he said, even though she passed away, he continued to do it in her honor.
Wow. See, I honestly, in my years in radio, when asked about that, I wasn't a huge fan of it because I thought it felt like a little bit of showboating, and now I have a completely different vibe about it. That's an amazing story. I did not know that.
Well, I adore him even more after that story, and I'm glad I shared it with you then. I assumed everybody knew, and it was just me that didn't know. Yeah.
No, I honestly thought it was a case of like, let's raise the roof. Come on, fans. Yeah. And that's an amazing story. That's great to hear.
Looking forward to it on Friday night. Hey, did you watch the big game last night?
I did watch the big game, and I didn't think anybody would stop scoring. I thought, by the time the first quarter was coming to a close, this is going to be like a 61-60 final, and didn't get quite that bad. But it was a great offensive showing, really back and forth stuff, lots of drama. Patrick Mahomes getting injured in the first half, and I would imagine, Sam, they shot him full of an entire pharmacy filled with painkillers in that ankle, but because he looked like he had no problem in that second half, and terrific game, lots of great theater.
For sure. I was thinking the same thing. I on Friday when we left, I said, okay, I'm calling it, the Eagles by a touchdown. So I got a message a couple times from people going, if the game ended right now, Sam, you would be right. But in the end, I was not right. Of course, the Chiefs took it. Always appreciate your time, Steve Warren.
Thank you, Sam.
Steve Warren chatting all things Sens, of course, host of the Sens Nation podcast and host of the Steve Warren Sports Show on City News. Did you know that Steve Warren is on City News? It's very exciting. Not only does he join me here on Mondays, but he is on every Saturday between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. to talk all things Sens. Well, we're going to talk all things City of Ottawa when we come back on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
This week on Simply Cooking by Chef, simple salads that will last all week in the fridge, give you a burst of flavor, and will please a big crowd.
I'm Wendell Clark with a word about winning. We all know it takes a team effort in any sport and with any challenge. You can be a part of the winning team that shuts out impaired driving. Whether you're out on the town or just hanging out with friends, drink responsibly. Always have a plan for a safe ride home for yourself, your family, and your friends. You'll be helping to shut out impaired driving.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Hey folks, it's me, Giovanni Patini, the host of the RTV quiz show, the hottest show on television. It's the hilarious quiz show where you, the viewers, play for valuable non-existent prizes. It's got great trivia, fun facts, and a lot of laughs, all blended together in a perfect cocktail of edutainment. So join us Wednesdays at 7:30 right here on Rogers TV. Nice.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Ladies, leave your man at home tonight.
Hey, this is Dominique Orley. I'm part of Encore 3, and be sure to catch my set this week.
We are going downtown, leaving out all your stress and your sorrow.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 101.1 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 101.1 everywhere.
It's 12 o'clock. Good afternoon on this Monday, February the 13th. I'm Mark Day. Right now, mix of sun and clouds, 0 in Ottawa, 2 in Smiths Falls. Here's what's making news right now. And breaking news from the East End, where 11 people, including 2 children, were injured in a gas explosion in Orleans. 2 of them being pulled out of the rubble. City News reporter Chris Curries has the details.
A chaotic scene in Orleans off 10th Line this morning. 4 unoccupied under construction homes devastated due to a gas leak. Windows and doors completely blown off nearby homes due to the shock wave. Insulation scattered across the area as well. There were 11 total people injured, 6 assessed on scene, 5 to hospital. Thankfully, no one passed serious but stable condition. 2 people were also rescued from the rubble. One of them was in the rubble for an hour, another in the wreckage for over 3. Ottawa Deputy Fire Chief Dave Matschke on the timeline of events.
At approximately 6:18 a.m. this morning, our dispatch center received multiple 911 calls from residents reporting an explosion in the area of 10th Line Road and Shallow Pond Place. I can confirm that 4 under construction homes at 305, 307, 309, and 311 Blossom Pass Terrace were the ones affected by the explosion.
Nearby homes were evacuated and searched multiple times. The Red Cross and Salvation Army are on site to assist the families and those in the neighborhood. Catherine Kitts is the local area councillor and tells City News how she found out about the blast.
Shortly after I woke up, my phone started getting flooded with people that had felt the blast, and not necessarily anywhere close to the site. So it was felt widely throughout the East End. And so, people at first were just wondering what happened. Is it an explosion? Is it an earthquake?
No nearby schools suffered any damage, but you can expect issues with hydro, Enbridge, and traffic delays in the area throughout the day. Chris Curry, City News.
Thank you, Chris. We'll continue to keep you updated throughout the afternoon right here on City News. Let's get a check of the forecast. Here's weather specialist Denise Andriachi.
Partly to mostly cloudy conditions as we move through the afternoon. There is this slight chance of seeing some scattered flurries, but nothing that's really impactful. It was a fairly quiet weekend, and we are going to be pretty quiet today. Guaranteed high of +2. We're down to near -6 overnight. Sun and cloud in the forecast Tuesday, and a nice day again. Highs near +4. The guaranteed high today, 2 degrees.
And right now, some sunshine, 0 in Ottawa, 2 in Smiths Falls. As the search continues to recover the wreckage of the flying object shot down over Yukon over the weekend, the Prime Minister is in the territory today and will be speaking with the media. City News Parliament Hill Bureau Chief Cormac McSweeney with the latest.
There's no doubt this flying object will be a topic of discussion when Prime Minister Justin Trudeau meets with Yukon's Premier today in Whitehorse, a trip that was planned before this whole incident. Speaking on CNN, our Defense Minister Anita Anand says the search for the wreckage continues in a remote area with rugged terrain.
We have teams on the ground and in the air making sure that we are able to locate and analyze that debris. The RCMP, the FBI, NORAD, we are all on the same page about the need to do this as expeditiously as possible.
In just over a week, there have been 4 high-altitude objects shot down in North America. This one over Canada was cylinder in shape, and it was taken out on Saturday. Yesterday, another that was shaped like a hexagon was shot down in U.S. airspace over Lake Huron. The defense minister has said the object in Yukon is potentially similar to the one destroyed off the coast of North Carolina, which the Americans have said was a Chinese spy balloon. China claims it was just a weather balloon. At the moment, none of the other objects have been confirmed to have been from China. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament.
And I'm Mark Day for News Anytime. Follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, every day, just at noon, we invite community members in to talk about those top subjects of the day. We invited Dean Tester to lunch today, housing advocate with a local group called Make Housing Affordable. Hi, Dean.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. Rob Boyd joins us as well, CEO of the Ottawa Inner City Health. Hello, Rob.
Hi, good afternoon.
Appreciate your time today. We wanted to talk a little bit today about the announcement that was made by the federal government. We know the Honourable Ahmed Hussein joined us today, the Minister in charge of Housing. Here's what he had to say.
A federal investment of $18.5 million to the City of Ottawa to build at least 48 rapid affordable housing units.
Is this good news, Dean?
Well, it's good news, but it's not nearly enough. I mean, we have a massive shortage of housing in Ottawa. What that means for middle-class families is that the cost of renting or owning a home has skyrocketed. But for families who are really struggling to make ends meet, that means a 10-year wait list for affordable housing. That means deciding between paying rent or paying for groceries. It means time in shelters or living in their car or on the streets. People in the city are really struggling, and that's why the city declared a housing emergency. And, today's announcement was for, 40-ish affordable homes. That's great. But there are 12,000 people on our social housing wait list. This gets us 0.3% of the way there. I think people have had it with the photo ops and the good vibes press conferences. We need a real plan to deal with this. And just to give some big picture, broader perspective math here, the province says we need to build 150,000 new homes in the next 10 years to solve our affordability crisis, at least 5% of those new homes should be affordable homes. That means we need to build 750 affordable homes per year. That is achievable. That is a totally reasonable goal. That gets families out of shelters, off the streets, gets people off a wait list and into a home so they can start to rebuild their life. And it actually will save the city money. This means, it can cost around $2,000 a month to give someone a home and support in a home. But we're paying $100,000 or more to serve people in our homeless population right now between ambulance bills, paramedics, hospital stays, police services, and all the other supports that's required. We really need to get serious about this and put forward a much bigger commitment. This is a drop in the bucket.
What's your take, Rob Boyd?
Yeah, I certainly agree with what Dina's saying here, and I would add that we need to look at these different layers of housing that we need. In addition to, we need affordable housing. We need, includes geared income. We need rent subsidies, expanded other types of support like case management to support people in independent living through a housing first model. We also need more supportive housing. We're seeing more and more people are having some challenges around the housing first model and actually need to have some additional support in place around their mental health or substance use. But all of these things and all of these problems have been building for really decades now, and it is. I agree. It's time that we took this for the crisis and the emergency that it is, and that we put these investments in place and get people's housing, because it is much cheaper in the end.
And here's another a clip we heard this morning with Minister Hussen.
We know that the City of Ottawa has been great at leveraging federal housing investments to build housing in Ottawa. So I expect that there will be more announcements coming because we are committed to making sure that we support the City of Ottawa in its goal to build thousands of deeply affordable homes.
So is it good news, Dean, that you think more needs to be done, and so does the minister?
Yeah, we'll wait and see, right? The Liberals have certainly committed to spending a lot of money here, and they've talked a big game. I'm waiting to see the action, right? Like the Liberals, for example, they say they're going to double housing construction across the country, but they haven't put forward a single step towards doing that, right? Like they haven't actually done anything concrete to reach these goals. So, they're saying the right things, and that's a step forward because, 2 or 3 years ago, they weren't saying the right things. But we need to actually see some action here because it is a crisis, and it's like Rob said, this is not just affecting, people who need affordable housing. It's affecting our homeless population. It's also affecting middle-class families and families like mine who, make a good income and expected to be able to, purchase a home one day and are now feeling like that's totally impossible. Along the entire spectrum, people are feeling the housing crisis, and we need real action to resolve this and not just rhetoric.
And you've got such a frontline seat, Rob, to what's happening in this country, particularly around the opioid crisis and the challenges that have been faced by people living on the streets. Do you think it complicates things, or is it helpful for all three governments to be involved in the solutions? Because, I find if all three levels are involved, it can sometimes feel very, pass the buck sort of movement, and nobody sort of takes charge and says, okay, this is what we're doing, and this is the investment, and so on. What are your thoughts? Does it complicate or does it help?
Well, I think it's a bit of both. It does complicate things having kind of a federation where, especially around the opioid crisis, where so much of this is really provincial responsibility, being healthcare, but it's really piecemeal at best in terms of how different provinces are responding to this. And so in that case, it's an advantage to have the federal government providing some leadership in this area where they could fund pilot projects. They have actually directly funded what's called urgent public health need sites, which are supervised consumption sites in areas where the province is not willing to support them happening. So there are definitely some advantages to having the federal government involved, and of course they can also be involved in the transfer payments for healthcare. And so we're seeing some of that money, the federal government wanting it to be focused on mental health and substance use as part of their, increasing the transfer payments. So there are definitely advantages. So I think where the real disadvantages fall down is when the province is not picking up some of these healthcare services at the end of the term when federal funding will run out, because these are all time limited. So Safer Supply is a really good example of that, where we have funding right now secured till the end of next March. But after that, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. And at a certain point, the federal funding runs out, and the expectation is that the province would then pick up from that. And so far, we've not seen any interest in the province in doing so.
Mm-hmm. And Dean, just listening to Rob, you can see how complicated this issue is. What are your thoughts in terms of how all the different levels of government come together for a crisis that's literally, killing, Rob can tell us the number, but killing Canadians every single day?
Yeah, this is a crisis that is impacting everyone. I mean, it's not just your stereotypical drug user. These are regular people who are going to their jobs, they're getting hurt, and then they're getting put on, opioids and other things, and getting addicted and really struggling. And, we need serious solutions to this problem. In terms of the three levels of government, they don't always see eye to eye on what the solutions should be. And I think that's a challenge, and especially at the local level. I mean, you're hard-pressed to find many city councillors across the country who say, yes, please, I want Safe Supply in my neighborhood. So that can be a challenge, and certainly the provincial government is a little conflicted on this. But when you have three levels of government, you also have three different opportunities for someone to take on a leadership role and to really be serious and lead the way on this. And I think that's where, we talk about passing the buck. It's so easy to pass the buck when there's other people responsible. But it's also easy to be a leader and step up and say, we're doing this, come with us. So I'm just looking to the, people at all levels of government. If this is something that you truly care about and want to make a difference on, step up, put the money out there, make a commitment. And folks will follow. I don't think we can wait for someone else to take the lead. You got to step up and be a leader.
Appreciate that sentiment for sure. We're going to come back on Lunch with Sam with Rob Boyd and Dean Tester, and hopefully with you. Lock it in to City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
Sometimes, for a wish to come true, it takes a kingdom, because together we're stronger. Tied tight, united we stand, in honor of one child's wish, to fuel the fire that will grant many more. Join the kingdom.
All I wanted was to see a movie. One down, please.
I can't sell downstairs tickets to you people.
How dare they? I could afford to buy the more expensive ticket. I run my own business. But they refused to take my money. They left me there all night. On what charge? They said I didn't pay the theater tax. But it was really about color.
Sister Desmond, appeal this conviction and your community will stand behind you.
Do you have any idea what this will do to us?
So what are you going to do? Make it right.
Viola Desmond's case inspired Nova Scotia's civil rights movement. She was pardoned 63 years later based on the injustice of her conviction.
Everyone loves a snow day, but less fortunate kids in Ottawa are missing out because they don't have a warm winter snowsuit. Help kids in need and have fun at the same time by joining the Snowsuit Fund's Snow Angel Challenge. Simply fall back in the snow, make a snow angel, and upload your photo or video to social media. The Snow Angel Challenge, a very cool way to help keep kids warm. Visit snowsuitfund.com to learn more and donate.
The way I kill my skill sharpen, cause I've been here sharpening.
What's going on, y'all? It's Jay Morris, aka your favorite light skin, and you're gonna check out my performance on Encore Ottawa 3 coming up this week. Let's go.
All again, murderation, 911, call it in. Me, I murder every.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
And we're back on City News. Rob Boyd is joining us for lunch today. He's the CEO of Ottawa Inner City Health, and Dean Tester's here as well, housing advocate with the local group called Make Housing Affordable. I don't know about you, Rob, but I didn't have shooting items down, in the sky on my crisis bingo card. But certainly that seems to be what we're facing. 4 items in the last 8 days. Are you concerned with the rise of these objects being shot down by NORAD?
Well, I grew up in the Cold War, so this is kind of a very familiar angst for me. This sense that something bad is going to happen out there, and that obviously there's not enough information about this at this point to kind of be overly concerned about it. And I have a baseline assumption that, various states are always spying or testing defense systems all the time. But I think what's another concern that I have is this culture of fear that seems to be perpetually in existence and has been for my entire life, of just keeping everybody in this state of apprehension and the impact that it does have on us in terms of our mental health. But also, we were talking about, the opioid crisis, and we're talking about the drug toxicity crisis. We're talking about the housing crisis. The money that might go into defense is in competition with the money that we need for these other, high priority things that we know are real things that are happening right now that are really, directly impacting people. So we really want to make sure that our responses are proportionate, because, we're actually not really good at assessing risk and then, applying things to where they need to go. So those are my thoughts on these flying objects. We'll find out hopefully in due time.
Absolutely. Here's what General Wayne Iyer had to say.
Now, it's important to note that the instructions that were given to the team was whoever had the first best shot to take out the balloon had the go-ahead. It's also important to note that all the aircraft were under the direction of Canadian NORAD region. So a Canadian general in Winnipeg was overseeing this operation, albeit in a NORAD context. I've had multiple conversations with my U.S. counterpart, General Mark Milley, today, as well as numerous briefings from Commander and Deputy Commander of NORAD down in Colorado Springs to discuss all aspects of this operation.
And Dean, just to remind you, that is not a movie clip. That's actually what's happening in the world, which is really kind of to Rob's point. There's a bit of fear there.
Yeah, well, one of the issues on this, and I don't pretend to be an expert on this, but why aren't we hearing a little bit more about what's going on? Should we be worried? I wish someone would tell us. But that being said, government and military especially sort of defer towards secrecy over transparency, and that's a challenge for everyday people. But I'm certainly not concerned about this in my day-to-day life at the moment. But I would like to know. I think we're all curious more than anything. What's going on? So
for sure.
I hope we hear more soon.
For sure. And I think back to, last weekend, you say, you hear in the news, here on City News, we were reporting, a balloon 3 times the size of, 3 school buses. I mean, that's quite large, Rob. We're not talking about something small. So I think the different descriptions of what these items are, one was a hexagon, one was a cylinder, and then we've got this balloon. It all seems to be, like I said, sort of part of a movie.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of pattern seekers by nature, right? So we're looking for something here, and again, within this context of, something bad is about to happen all the time. So, we're projecting a lot of our anxiety into whatever this is going on, and it may very well be a real threat and something that we should be concerned about. But I mean, if we were to talk with the same kind of level of intensity that you have with that general speaking about some of these other crises that we're having, I mean, it's time to take action on so many fronts, and I just find when it comes to security things that there's a whole different attitude towards it than when it comes to some of these social policy failures that we're talking about.
Really interesting take on that, Rob. We know the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had this to say.
We will continue to do everything necessary to protect the sovereignty of our shared North American airspace, but also to do everything necessary to keep our citizens safe.
Is that comforting to you, Dean?
No. I mean, that's what he's going to say, of course. But what is it? That's what we really want to know. What's going on? So I hope they'll give us some answers in the near future.
Appreciate your time always. Let's talk a little city council. Rob, do you find this city council, I mean, we're only a couple of months in, but do you find there's more transparency? I mean, we think about maybe the budget, we think about LRT. We certainly seem to, be able to speak to councillors here a lot at City News. The mayor's been really responsive. Are you seeing that, or is it just a honeymoon, do you think?
Well, I think that it's a little bit of a honeymoon just because there are so many new councillors. It's a new mayor. I think that there's obviously a great opportunity to distance yourself now from what was happening before. I think that there is a desire and an earnest attempt to be more transparent about how things go. I think that's part of what Mayor Sutcliffe ran on. And I think that it's also something that the voters indicated they wanted to see. They wanted to see things run differently after the convoy occupation really kind of showed how dysfunctional things had become in the previous council. So, I think probably, that will change slightly over time, but hopefully things won't go down the road as far as they did previously.
Dean, what are your thoughts? City council more transparent?
Yeah, I don't know if more transparent is the right word, but definitely more collaborative. It's been really great, in my role working as a housing advocate. I talk to city councillors quite frequently, and I'm struck by how some of the councillors with such broad ideological differences are just getting along so well and working together on things, and that really makes me happy to see, because I think in the last council it became very adversarial by the end. So, we've got some new people in. I think they're all working exceptionally hard to get up to speed on a lot of really complex files. And, with regards to transparency, I've definitely seen some steps in the right direction. In particular, committee summaries are being published on the City of Ottawa website. So, if not too many of us are sitting through a 10-hour committee meeting and watching it and taking notes, but they are providing summary updates now, which I find very useful and very interesting. So, there's some steps in the right direction. But what I'm really hoping for from this City Council is to start moving on some of these projects. I know there's a sharp learning curve, and I know we have a very new council, but there's some really urgent stuff that the city's got to get moving on. Number one, for me, being the housing crisis. And, Mark Sutcliffe had a very ambitious housing platform. I was very excited about it. and we've seen zero movement on that yet. So I'd like to see the city get moving. But overall, I'm very happy with how council is doing, and I think they're headed in the right direction.
Thank you for that. And Rob, we always like to leave our lunch discussion on a little bit of a light note. Did you make it down to Winterlude, or are you skipping the festivities this year?
Unfortunately, I have not made it down this year. I think not having the canal is a big part of that. It's always a treat to get out and skate on the canal. So unfortunately not.
Will there be a beaver tail in your future, though, Rob?
Well, maybe even this afternoon.
There you go.
Now that I'm feeling guilty about not doing that.
No pressure at all. Dean, have you headed down to Winterlude at all?
Yeah, I had the chance to check out some of the ice sculpture when I was downtown last week, and it's always nice to see the city a little busier in the downtown core. Obviously, I'm sad about the canal not being open as well, but hoping it's a good season for them, and hoping not everything melts over the next couple of days. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's so difficult. When you were downtown, did you treat yourself to a beaver tail?
I did not. I treated myself to something else. So
well, there you
we
go.
had a good time.
There you go. I'm glad to hear it. Thanks, guys, for joining us for lunch today on City News. Dean Tester was here, a housing advocate for the local group Make Housing Affordable. Rob Boyd was here as well, CEO of Ottawa Inner City Health. We appreciate them very much. We're coming back, and it is the business lunch. You want to be here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
This week on Simply Cooking by Chef, simple salads that will last all week in the fridge, give you a burst of flavor, and will please a big crowd.
For 25 years, you've been helping to make our roads safer by doing the right thing. You've been the designated driver, you've stayed over, called home, you've called a cab or a friend, and planned ahead. Let's keep doing the right thing. Support sober driving by getting yourself and your friends home safely.
Do the right thing.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
I'm Julian Armour from Music and Beyond. Join us for a new show this spring on Rogers called Music and Beyond Presents.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
Ladies, leave your man at home tonight.
Hi, this is Dominique Orley. I'm part of Encore 3, and be sure to catch my set this week.
We are going downtown, leaving out all your stress and your sorrow.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 101.1 everywhere.
And good afternoon. It's 12:30 on this Monday, 13th of February. I'm Mark Day. Right now, sunshine and 1 in Ottawa, 2 in Smiths Falls. Here's what's making news right now. And breaking news from the East End, where if you live, you were likely jolted awake this morning by a massive explosion. 4 under-construction homes went up this morning, leaving 12 people injured. City News reporter Chris Curries has the latest.
Thankfully, the homes were unoccupied, but the rubble and wreckage reached far and wide. Of the 11 people injured after the blast this morning, just after 6:15 in Orleans, 2 of them trapped in the rubble.
At 07:19 a.m., we located and rescued 1 individual from the debris pile. At this time, we have just rescued a second individual who was trapped in the debris pile. We have evacuated all the occupied homes in the affected area and completed multiple searches in all the areas.
The first one, according to Deputy Fire Chief Dave Matchkey, crews used chainsaws to rescue them. The second trapped for over 3 hours, but both in serious but stable condition. Of the 11 total injured, 6 were assessed on scene, 5 taken to hospital, including 2 children. Now, the cause of the blast right now pegged at a gas leak, but the cause of that leak is currently under investigation. Councillor for the area, Catherine Kitts, said she was getting messages from everyone this morning about just what had happened.
Immediately, I reached out to my contacts in Ottawa Fire and the Chief Ayat, and just to say, what's going on? Can anyone give me any information? So that's how I started my day.
In that area, you can expect lots of delays and possible issues with hydro and Enbridge today. Chris Curry's City News.
And stay with City News throughout the day. We'll keep you up to date on this story. I'm Mark Day for News Anytime. Follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you again for joining us here on City News. I've just received some correspondence from one of our connections with Ottawa Fire indicating that at 1:30 today they're going to have another availability with the media. An Enbridge Gas representative will be there as well. So we'll maybe have some new information for you, so you'll want to stay with City News. It is the business lunch, and this is when we invite all sorts of business leaders in to talk about what they do in this city. And Ruth McCluskey joins me now. She's the owner of La Vida Local. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Sam. Thanks for having me, stranger.
Oh, I know. As soon as I saw your name, I'm like, I know Ruth.
It's been, 20 years?
Something like that. Let's not date ourselves, Ruth. Let's not date ourselves. So, Ruth, you've always done some really great stuff in this city, and this is just another example. Tell us about La Vida Local.
So La Vida Local is an Epicurean adventure company. We, meaning myself and my partner, Iona Green, we offer guided food and wine tours across rural Eastern Ontario and West Quebec.
And it's so interesting, Ruth, because I think there's a lot of people that think there's enough wine around this area to do that, and there certainly is.
Yeah, so in addition to wineries, we also visit craft distilleries, cider houses, breweries, microbreweries. We go as far east as Montreal, as Hawkesbury. So there's down by Van Cleef Hill, there's Beau's Brewing we used to visit, and Van Cleef Hill Winery is lovely. We travel south all the way to Westport, and it's really fun visiting all these wineries because the owners have their stories, and they come at making their wine. Everybody has their different way of doing it, right? So some of our partners are from South Africa, some are from Switzerland. So yes, there's lots of good wine in the area.
Absolutely. So are you putting together private tours for groups that already sort of exist, or are you doing it where people can buy tickets and be added to a group?
We do both. So with our private tours, we would like milestone birthdays or anniversaries. We do bachelorette parties. We do corporate events. So like for a milestone birthday, say it's your 50th birthday, we'd show up in your laneway, pick up you and your guest. We'd tour maybe 3-4 wineries. At each stop, you might have like charcuterie and cheese, or you might make a meal of it. A lot of the wineries have wood-fired pizza, so you make a day of it. So we might pick you up, depending on where you're going, 11 o'clock in the morning, you're home by 6. It's, nobody has to be the DD. We take care of that, so you can celebrate responsibly.
And how did it all start, Ruth?
Well, I was looking for a semi-retirement gig, and I'm very proud of Ottawa. I'm a huge shop local advocate. So is Iona, and we were up at her cottage, and we were, having a bottle of wine on the deck, and we thought, hey, this is perfect, right? We got to find something out in the sunshine. I also have family up in Prince Edward County, And at Thanksgiving, we would always charter a school bus, actually, and then we tour about 30 of us. And I thought, oh, this is perfect, because I love people. I love making sure people have a good time. I love food. I love wine. And so it's a good fit.
Well, that sounds fantastic. And how can people register? Are they ongoing, or are we just getting ready for spring?
At this point, we're largely seasonal, so May to October. The best way is just visit our website, La Vida Local, LaVidalocal.ca.
Amazing. Well, I wish you all the best. Very exciting adventure there for sure. Thanks so much for joining us, Ruth.
Thank you. When are you coming on a tour, Sam?
Well, I was thinking the same thing. That would be lovely. I'd love it. Thanks so much, Ruth.
Thank you for having me. Have a wonderful day.
You too. We just love this opportunity to profile businesses. If you have a business you're thinking, hey, they should go on with Sam Laprade, reach out to us. Reach out to our producers. You can send us an email and let us know if you're interested in being profiled as well. We hear lots of really great stories. We had Patty Taggart on last week, and Patty sent me a message after she owns Tagalong Toys. And she sent me a message after saying, Sam, people were coming into the store after she had heard. They had heard the interview and came in to share all the good news and buy some stuff from Patty, shopping local, which we love to see. We're going to talk a little chocolate today. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Do you celebrate Valentine's Day, Noah?
So when you mean celebrate, you mean like I have to spend a lot of money on? No, of course we do. Of course we do.
It could be the sentiment.
For me, it's never been a materialistic day about and it's never been a day that's really representative to, I think, me and my partner of what our love means. But it's a fun little day to kind of treat yourselves. And I think I was telling our other producer, Aaron, I think we're going to be spending our kind of Valentine's Day actually on Saturday.
Okay.
Starting with kind of a nice dinner at the Whalesbone.
Nice.
And then progressing, there's actually a concert at one of the, not at the NAC, I forget the other, one of the opera places downtown, and it's just 6 guys. I think they're called the Kin Sinners doing harmonies, so that'll be my Valentine's Day.
Look at you.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic. Our family's always been kind of like, it's a Valentine's Day for family. Like, I mean, it's been a bit different. None of my husbands were Valentine's Day guys.
Well, that's why they're not your husbands anymore.
Well, you can hear it here on City News. Absolutely. Okay. We're going to come back and talk a little chocolate here on City News. Stay with us, everyone.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. That was a lot. I think I need a nap.
On Monday's Daytime Ottawa, the Museum of Nature joined us on the show. They have some fantastic activities happening leading up to the final weekend of Winterlude. They also have some great activities happening around Family Day. We'll give you all the details, and we'll have some last-minute Valentine's Day ideas, including a fantastic spritzer for you to enjoy, and we'll introduce you to a brand new martial arts community going on out in Orleans. All that and more on Monday's Daytime Ottawa.
Think it's okay to drive high? Think again. Drug-impaired driving is as illegal as drunk driving, and in Ontario, the penalties are the same. If police suspect you're driving under the influence of drugs of any kind, or a combination of drugs and alcohol, and you fail a roadside test, your license will be suspended immediately for up to 30 days. You'll pay a penalty of $198. And you can be charged with a criminal offense of impaired driving, the same as alcohol. Driving high is never okay.
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the Community Billboard.
Everyone loves a snow day, but less fortunate kids in Ottawa are missing out because they don't have a warm winter snowsuit. Help kids in need and have fun at the same time by joining the Snowsuit Fund's Snow Angel Challenge. Simply fall back in the snow, make a snow angel, and upload your photo or video to social media. The Snow Angel Challenge, a very cool way to help keep kids warm. Visit snowsuitfund.com to learn more and donate.
That's the way I kill my skill sharpen, cause I've been here sharpening.
What's going on, y'all? It's Jay Morris, aka your favorite light skin, and you're gonna check out my performance on Encore Ottawa 3 coming up this week. Let's go.
All again, murderation, 911 call it in. Me, I murder every.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and you might be looking for something for your loved one. We wanted to inspire you today with a conversation with Anna Stubbe. Hi, Anna. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to talk to you. I'm a big fan.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Big fan. So Valentine's Day must be a very, very busy time for you. How has it been this year?
Oh, it's Valentine's always surprises us, and maybe everybody else as well. Actually, it's creeping us up. It's not like Easter or Christmas where you have a whole season. It's just all of a sudden here, and we had a very, very busy morning.
Well, I was very excited the other day because my lovely friend Shirley bought me some chocolates from your store, and they were delicious. They didn't last very long, Anna.
That's what I wanted to hear, actually.
Yeah, it was very, very sweet. I think we were supposed to save it for Valentine's Day. Don't tell Shirley, but we didn't. So let me ask you, Anna, how did it all start for you?
Oh, I'm actually a pastry chef and chocolatier for, I don't know, maybe it's 25 years already. I have chocolate running through my veins, basically. My parents are both from chocolate shops. And even though I was a little bit rebellious in the very beginning, I eventually found the passion of chocolate as well. And I have my own store here in Canada for about 4 years now.
And whereabouts in Canada so we can find you?
It is on 500 Hazeldean Road, which is corner Terry Fox. It's a little plaza with the McDonald's and the Mattress Martin.
Oh, I know exactly where you are. Okay, that sounds fantastic. So let me just walk through some of these Valentine's Day treats, because you have lots here. One that really stood out for me was what's called a smash heart. What's that?
Oh yeah, the smash heart. It's a chocolate shell. In this case, we shape it as a heart, and you have a little hammer in the package as well. You smash the heart, and inside you find little goodies that we make here in the store as well. You have little Florentines or little almond clusters, nonpareils, lots of little treats to share.
That's awesome. And I noticed as well your website's very, very well laid out and easy to follow. I noticed vegan and gluten-free options as well. Talk to us about those.
That is certainly something that is more and more common now. The question is even more the vegan than the gluten-free. Dark chocolate is naturally vegan. It does not have any dairy inside, so we have lots of options there. Also, the gluten-free chocolate is naturally gluten-free. We have lots of variety there, lots of cakes even that we make gluten-free.
And do you have loyal customers, Anna, that visit all the time?
Oh, yes. Yes. I cannot name anybody, of course. Customer confidentiality doesn't let me say that.
Yeah, of course.
But I have lots of loyal customers. It's always wonderful to see that, yeah.
I love that. And, when I think about the times of year that would be busy, you mentioned obviously Christmas and Easter as well. Mother's Day must be busy too.
Yeah, Mother's Day as well. And actually Father's Day is very busy too.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That's actually a really great idea. And when I think about starting a business and you just obviously hope for the best, was the pandemic difficult for you, Anna?
Of course, yes. It was very difficult. I actually had my first anniversary just the week before the pandemic started, and I was very lucky that I had a very loyal customer following already when the pandemic started. We switched to online ordering right away, and we made the best out of it, yes. Yeah.
So I've heard of white chocolate. Mm-hmm. Milk chocolate, of course, that's my favorite, and then dark chocolate, but I've never heard of ruby chocolate. Tell us about ruby chocolate.
Okay, ruby chocolate, it's considered the fourth kind of chocolate. It's made with red cocoa beans. They are not fermented as long as cocoa beans for the darker chocolate, and that way the chocolate keeps its natural flavor and color. So the ruby chocolate, just like the name says, has a little bit of a pink tone to it, and it also has a little bit of a fruity flavor. It is more of a raspberry, cranberry, cherry flavor, but again, it's all natural. It's not added to it, which is a lovely combination right now for Valentine's Day to have that little bit of pink chocolate in your box.
And do you have a lot of brides that approach you, Anna, about doing some favors maybe for the wedding or something special?
Yes. That is always a lot of fun because there's always so much excitement in the air when it comes to weddings. So we do a lot of party favors as well. We have little boxes of 2 or boxes of 4. And then most of the time we even do custom flavors or custom colors. Maybe you saw on the website the colorful bonbons we make. Yes. And again, we could make them in custom colors as well.
Wow, that's amazing. And how many staff do you have, Anna?
We have, depending on the season, up to 6. I'm still a small store, but we think of ourselves as a big company.
And do you still eat chocolate, Anna?
Oh,
I have to ask you.
Yes. That's basically how I start my day. But I never get a chocolate craving. I have a nibble here and there, and since I'm surrounded with it all the time, it's not always the same texture. It's different flavors, and one is more smooth, the other one is a little bit more bitter, and so it's never the same. It never gets boring.
And I'm seeing here, and I've never seen this before, orange slices with dark chocolate.
Oh, yes. I want to say that's probably one of the most popular items we have.
Really?
Yes. It's a candied orange peel and then dipped in regular dark chocolate with a 54% dark chocolate or with the bitter dark chocolate with 70%. It's very, very popular. So you have just the orange rind in little sticks, basically. But we also have the orange slices, which is a really nice and juicy piece of orange and then dipped in chocolate.
Wow. Very creative. And the last thing I'll talk about is the hot chocolate, because that's always been really popular. And those hot chocolate bombs are all the bomb.
Oh, yes. The hot chocolate bombs, they came up around about 2 years ago at Christmas time, and since then we need to have them on the shelf year round, even in the summer. It's just such a nice little treat, and it's a fun thing to watch as well. The chocolate bomb melt from the warm milk and releases the marshmallows and the cocoa powder. It's makes a nice, warm, comforting cup of hot chocolate.
Well, that sounds delicious. Well, I think you're going to be busier than Cupid tomorrow, so I'm going to let you go.
Oh, thank you.
And get ready for all those customers. Thank you so much. Anna Stubbe joining us today from Anna Stubbe Chocolates. You can find her at Terry Fox and Hazel Dean. You know exactly where I'm talking about. There's a Mattress Mart there, a McDonald's, and more importantly, Anna Stubbe's there. So you want to get your chocolate for the big day tomorrow. We wanted to go all the way from Canada. Here we go. We're heading all the way to Manotick. And we're joined by Jerry Mask. Hi, Jerry.
Hello.
Jerry, you are part of Miller's Oven Tea Room and Cafe. And for those that aren't familiar with Miller's Oven, it is really something special. Tell us about Miller's.
Well, Miller's Oven was started in 1982. They purchased the building. It was a lot of seniors that wanted a place to start out to just have coffee, donuts, and tea. And it has evolved into a full-fledged restaurant. We do not have suppers, but we have special occasions and that. We have breakfast and lunch and everything that we have except for the bread is all home baked. It's all baked here.
Wow. And tell us who bakes it all, Jerry.
Who bakes it? Mm-hmm. We have one fabulous lady in here that's been here, just celebrated 20 years, and is famous for her Mile High lemon pie, which is a big seller. And we also do the Meals on Wheels for Ross, Rural Ottawa South Seniors. Mm-hmm. And then we during COVID, we were closed from March until October, but resumed doing the Meals on Wheels. And we also started having, because people weren't able to really come in, we had pick up and take out just at the door type of service. And it included soups and shepherd's pie and that type of dinner, really, or lunch, whichever they were looking to purchase.
And Jerry, what makes Miller's Oven so special?
I think the fact that we only have 3 paid staff, the cook, the dishwasher, and then there's also university students that do the weekends and through the summer that are full-fledged cooks and that, and they are paid. But on a day-to-day basis, we have actually 2 cooks in the kitchen and a dishwasher that are paid. Other than that, everybody else is a volunteer for all the other servings and for the cash and for setting up for the special occasions or whatever we have. Like we did have high teas for quite some time, but with COVID, we weren't able to carry that type of thing out. But I hope to get back into it. And the other thing is that we have the students that require their volunteer hours, and they are in on the weekends and all through the summer. And but it's strictly on a volunteer basis. And then we have the seniors that do it after the school is back in and right up until they're out in June.
Mm-hmm. Really interesting, Jerry. And you know, it's about making meals, but it's also about creating community. And you really have created this beautiful community.
Yes, and we're fortunate that like other businesses and that recognize what we have done and are continuing to do, and are very supportive for all the BIA and all of the businesses here that you're basically on a first name basis when they come in.
Well, that's amazing, Jerry. Please send our love to everyone at Miller's Oven Tea Room, and I hope you have a great week, and everyone enjoys that beautiful lemon pie.
Well, we're having a special that we've on request. We have spiral ham, scalloped potatoes, and home-baked beans for tomorrow, plus our regular menu that would be there. And there were a lot of people that were asking what time they could come. So.
That sounds great. People spending a beautiful Valentine's Day at Miller's Oven. Thank you so much, Jerry, for your time today.
Thank you very much for, giving us a heads up.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Absolutely. Jerry Mask joining us from Miller's Oven Tea Room and Cafe. If you haven't visited Miller's Oven, put it on your bucket list. It's very sweet, very delicious as well. Speaking about all things lunch on the business lunch, Jerry Mask, appreciate him joining us. Of course, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. So if you want to celebrate, you better get your stuff together and be ready for tomorrow. We're going to have a special Valentine's Day show. We're going to sprinkle in some fun things tomorrow for the big day of love. And we love that you join us here every day on City News. Our news team is working very hard today, as they do every day. But of course, we're keeping our eyes on Orleans. There will be some more information coming down from potentially Enbridge and Ottawa Fire around 1:30. Our team is on it. So you'll want to listen to City News for any of the breaking news out of Orleans today following that explosion this morning around 6:20. Stay with us here on City News.
You've been listening to the Sam Laprade Show.
Tune in again for local news and community views.